of utilities. And so I'm hoping to bring some attention to the water usage and just ask that moving forward, I can maybe explain.
Can I stop you right here? Why don't you do this in camera? Why is this public? Why is her standing in front of us? Why is this out?
It's a public matter, Your Worship. It concerns the utility bill.
Really? Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Can we make it not? I would really appreciate it.
All our meetings are recorded and online.
Yeah. Oh, this goes directly
This
on.
goes online.
Oh, that's so embarrassing. I thought it was just going to go in a paper.
No, you weren't, you didn't have heads up. I'm glad I stopped you. You didn't have heads up that this was a public meeting?
Well, I know that council meetings do get publicized, but I thought it was basically notes and minutes that go in the paper.
No,
I didn't
this is
understand.
actually televised on our website. So if you want to stop yourself now, you're more than welcome to. Other than that, it has to be public. These two are our corporate officers. They said it has to be public. So
Okay.
if you want to stop yourself now, you can.
What would my options be as far as moving forward with this issue?
You would have to deal with Chris on it.
Yeah, I'm
If you want council to do it, it has to be public.
Okay,
And
well,
Chris's hands are tied because council's the ones that represent the town.
okay, you know what, I don't really have much of a choice, so I'm just gonna carry forward.
Okay.
Basically, we've owned this house since 2005. Had some renters in there from 2011 to 2016, July 15th. And they trashed the place. And so I just highlighted at the bottom where you can see line 51 where they did move out there. And so basically I come before you guys to ask if we can have a reduction of say about 50, well not say about, 50% for the last, so okay, I'll give you a bit more history. So my husband lost his job almost 4 years ago, and he hasn't been able to regain employment, and we have 5 kids. So we managed up until about 2 years ago, and at that point, about 1 3/4 years, basically we haven't been able to manage. So I don't believe that we've made a utility payment on this house for 1 year and 8 months. But you can clearly see that the water usage is 0, and I understand that finances for a town are all dealt with as far as quotas and number of households that are paying tax-paying properties and such. So I understand.
So you owe this bottom figure?
I don't know. No. This is just, this is just the water consumption.
Okay.
So I have spoken with Chris a couple of times on it, and he has said that basically if there's any water consumption at all, that there's no ability to be able to help or reduce anything. He said you can take it before council if you'd like to see if you can explain your situation, because and they can make a decision based on what you discussed. So so you can see that there's zeros down here at the bottom, and that's it. But the water readings are every 3 months.
Right.
And so we haven't utilized, this location hasn't utilized public services in the form of garbage, with the exception of this summer, maybe 5 times in 3.5 going on 4 years. So garbage recycling or...
So when you had renters in there, they never used the garbage facilities?
well, they've been out for, it'll be 4 years in July.
Nobody in the house.
So
And nobody's lived there?
No. So I kind of wanted to barter, hopefully, with the fact that we haven't utilized services, if we could have a 50% reduction in, it's been, I think, 1 year and 8 months that we've been able to pay.
You haven't paid, so
Yeah.
it's gone on your property tax.
Yes.
Well, we can't really discuss it right now, but.
Okay.
they do have questions, council
Yeah.
does have questions,
Yeah,
but we can't make a decision,
no, that's fine.
okay? Bart?
Is it possible to have her shut the water off? Then it'd be cease sewer and that on a written authority from her. So then from now on, you wouldn't get water charges, sewer and
Service charge.
charges.
Wouldn't you want to freeze?
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
they
the
would have
water
to
was shut off for a couple of years anyways, but it shows like 22 liters on here a couple of times, so I think there must have been a small leak or something, but the water was shut off. So, but that being said, I did bring the paperwork to be able to do that moving forward. That's where we're at. It's because I don't live here, I'm 2.5 hours away.
Yeah, and you're correct, Councilor Smith, we do have that for a few properties in town where we get instructions to shut it off at the street, and that's the one exception to the whole bylaw where we're able to stop levying the minimum water, water and sewer charges, because it's effectively cut off at the street. Like Crystal says, we've kind of spoken at length about this. The bylaw really wasn't written to address a case like this. So it's pretty closed in. Crystal's unfortunately fallen in the cracks on it. Meaning that the bylaw says the minimum that shall be charged is $93 and a couple of cents per quarter for usage right up to 6,000 gallons. So there's no provision to charge zero, even if the consumption is zero. So my conversation with Crystal, leading up to this was really, even as it stands right now, council couldn't pass a motion to waive any of these fees because the bylaw that was adopted previously doesn't have the option for nothing more. What council would have to consider would be rewriting the water usage bylaw and adding a provision in there somewhere to address cases like this should they come up. So a little bit of a lengthy process, but you could get there in a roundabout way. And that's really, like I say, Crystal mentioned too, there's been a lot of back and forth conversation between us, and I understand the logic, but the rule book says I have to apply this. I don't have any options other than that.
I don't have how much you owe.
Well, you just said 93 something per quarter, isn't it $156 a month?
No, the 93 per quarter is just the water usage, the garbage, and then the sewers on top of that as well. So
But that's per quarter?
yeah, it's per quarter. The water standby charge is about $1.02 if you're not using any consumption.
Because I used to pay monthly, so that means I would have had a huge credit on the account. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have the amount that I am owing. I actually thought this comes to $156 a month.
No.
Is what I was.
Well, your bill may say $156, and there might be a meter error.
Yeah.
Bring your bill to Chris.
We have it in your
You have it.
Yeah. That's what you have in front of is the consumption report from the
Yeah, that doesn't.
for the meter. We didn't bring the dollar amount pulling.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't.
And it, like I say, it comes down to a usage question, right? The bylaw says here's the minimum. There's evidence of a small amount of water trickling through the system. As
How old's your house, Christmas?
Previous to the 50s. When I got it, they said the furnace is a 1950s furnace, and I changed it right away, but I don't know exactly. It's old.
Any more questions? Ken, you have a question?
No, but I think we could make a motion to visit the bylaw, to review those changes, to see if in the future we can help someone out with that. I'll take a look.
That being said, I don't know if this is something that would be on the table or not, but if moving forward, if we could, until it's inhabited, like I'm gonna get the water shut off anyways, but until it's inhabited, that we can keep it at if you guys pass it at like a 50% until we're out of this situation or we get it sold or something.
Well, once it's shut off, then you shouldn't have a bill.
Yeah.
Once it's shut off, you shouldn't have a bill. Okay.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Do you have a cell phone number?
Yeah,
You have my cell phone?
no, I don't,
719
no.
8099. And I'll have a conversation with you tomorrow, because there's some other options that you can maybe go by,
Okay,
not necessarily the village.
thank you. I'm just sorry, I don't have my glasses.
It's MICH.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Can I get a second for that motion? All in favor? Okay. Unfinished business rising from minutes, none. Crystal, if you don't want to stay, you don't have to, you're more than welcome to go. You're more than welcome to stay too. Okay? 8, new business, 8.1 recommendation that council direct administration on how they, you guys read it.
The council direct administration how they would like us to proceed with the winter jamboree.
Discussion.
I've already, paying attention. I've already talked to different people to try and do it basically like we used to do it before. Have all the different organizations in the village that participate and do minimal price for games so that people are more aware of what different organizations are in the village. I have, the one church has already said that they will do it, the library, the, yeah, the Girl Guides will do a cakewalk. There's another couple other people too. They said that they would go things in, and I haven't really even attempted to talk to anybody until I was sure that I could go ahead and do it. But I won't do the chocolate show. It takes too damn much.
No.
And I'm assuming that when I talked to the Legion, they said that they would probably do the smooshing again if we wanted them to do the smooshing. That was always fun. You know what a smooshing is? So two 2x4s and 3 people on the 2x4s, and they try to cross-country ski at the same time.
Oh.
Fire hall destroyed everybody.
Well, they had every single muscle guy on there. Like tanks moving. They were. Do you need a budget for this, Donna?
Not really. Just the need to use the hall, to use the community hall.
So you want more?
Should we still have the petitions? The wood petitions that we used to have?
Oh my God.
They probably got it.
Thank you. One of our questions with this was also around the public communication piece that council wanted. So, you know, Sandy included 2 lines in there. Is that the kind of thing that you guys were looking for in that community survey? Are we on the right track or are we not? We want to make sure we're asking the right question.
Well, we just want to make sure that the residents know that things cost money. And we've got Canada Day, and we've got our Christmas light up, and then now we've got our jamboree. And if we decide to have a hot dog and hamburger thing for them, it costs money. And we need their approval to be able to spend that money. I don't think it's my decision to say, yes, we can go and spend $35,000 anymore on Canada Day. I don't think that's up to council. I think it's the residents' decision to make.
Okay. So would I be safe to assume that that sort of public communication piece could include an open-ended question like this and then sort of a little clue about what the various things that we're doing over the years cost? Yeah, volunteers is going to be a piece of it as well. But you know, you're right. Outside of the public budget meetings, I would suspect a lot of folks are blissfully unaware of what Canada Day costs, what the Jamboree costs, what all these things cost. So, yeah. Okay.
Do we have a computer guru who can put some sort of survey up on our website?
We do. Yeah.
Do you want a motion to that?
Would you need a motion for that?
You need a motion to tell them what to do. In a nice way. You know me, I ain't very diplomatic.
Yeah. I would like to make a motion that the CAO directs the relevant staff member to create a survey on the village's website for the purposes of determining if the residents want to have certain events that we traditionally held, and if they are aware of the cost associated with these events, and with the, or acknowledge whether they're still in favor of sponsoring these events within the village.
Chris?
Would that also include a mail out with a similar thing to catch the folks that don't catch it on the website?
Yeah, probably.
The only thing is it's the outlying areas, it also has a mailbox. And the outlying areas also think that they live in Puscoopi. Those outlying areas also don't pay taxes to the village of Puscoopi. There's a catch.
Could you have a question on there? Do you live within the boundaries or you?
That risk or that skewing of the data that might come about is going to be there, whether it's online or not.
No problem getting
Okay. All in favor?
Second?
Second, I'll second it.
All in favor? Okay. All done. Back and vote. 8.2 recommendation?
So can I go ahead with the gym meeting?
Yeah, as long as there's a question, I think.
Okay.
Can I get somebody read this out?
Oh,
Oh, this
Never
is,
mind.
no, never mind, this is,
eight
can't go
point two
in.
recommendation.
No, this is a council issue.
Okay.
Yeah, for me anyway.
Okay.
8.3 recommendation?
The council determined if a delegation should be sent to the 2020 FCM conference in Toronto, Ontario, June 4th to the 7th, 2020.
Can I get a second? Second. Discussion? Right?
When I was looking at the website, this is a trade show, which I've gone to a trade show in Quebec as well. I'm sure
That
about,
trade show. There's meetings, there's actual meetings going on.
well, the workshops and seminars are at a later date.
No, there's one day that's the trade show. The rest of the days are meetings and, but I don't have to go, it doesn't matter to me. Sandy?
FCM, the actual schedule of the meetings and everything that they can go to is not posted yet.
Oh,
It will
okay.
be posted at a later date. They just opened up the hotel reservations on Monday.
I sent you that email.
Okay.
Yeah. Barb?
Is there a particular information or workshop that,
We don't know yet, nothing's online yet.
I know, but what I'm saying is if you're talking grants or whatever, you could do that online. I'm just trying to think of $4,000 to go to this FCM, if it's gonna be beneficial to our residents.
Ken?
Hi.
Do you have something to say?
Jesus loves me.
Never mind. Donna?
I don't see any problem.
Okay.
Is there a motion on the floor? What are we doing?
We're reading this
Just
right now.
discussing it.
We're discussing.
The FCM was in Quebec City last year.
Yes.
Who are you proposing to go?
Who am I proposing to go see?
Yeah.
I'm going to workshops.
Is it just you?
There's only right now is one representative. It doesn't mean it have to be me.
I thought you said it had to be mayor.
No, not for FCM.
Yeah. We talked about
There is a mayor thing there.
approving 2 trips a year, did we not? What were they?
UBCN?
NCLJ.
NCLJ.
NCLGA and UBCM. So I don't know, do we want to amend that? To allow 3 or just the other 2? Or? Hi.
Right. Those are the two mandatory ones. The other ones are as they come up.
Yeah, I was
Approval
going to
as they
say,
come up.
because we're going to the LGA.
Those were on case by case.
I don't really want to go, so it doesn't really matter to me. So it's one of you guys.
No, I'm not going.
So we don't need to discuss it. Okay, 8.4 recommendation.
The council discussed the initial 2020-2024 capital and special project list and determined priority projects.
Mayor Seconder?
Second.
Discussion. Bringing that up, Chris?
For you, Roger?
Don't have to use my fingers. Would've just been the thing, but okay.
Okay, so you guys all have the spreadsheet in your agenda package.
Won't work?
Sorry?
Computer won't work?
No, I'm just bringing it up. It wasn't sized right on my laptop here, so it's everything. There we go. It's still not there. Oh, okay. Go from there. Okay, that seems right. So same process and similar years, folks. You guys have that sort of list on your in your agenda packages. I've got the PowerPoint slides kind of outlining everything. Sandy has a master copy of the list with a space for notes, and really it's a live dynamic discussion. So I'm going to go through each potential project one by one with a little bit of a PowerPoint slide, open it up to you guys for discussion, and then it's really up to council as to whether we yay it, nay it, or move it to a future year, are really the three options. And like I mentioned to you guys before, considering the headwinds of some of the stuff we have going on this year, there's 33 projects in the potential list for 2020. There's absolutely no way staff can accomplish 33 major projects in a year. So some of that stuff will need to be shifted and moved around, but I didn't want to make any assumptions about doing that. Leave that up to you guys. So.
Have you rated them in time that it would take to do these programs and?
The stuff that's in that single year column, Councilor Smith, is stuff that can likely be accomplished in a single year or is set to wrap up in that year, like the boundary extension project, for example. This will probably be the final year of that study. So we can go through that as we go through the PowerPoint slide. So really at the end of each slide, I'd like to give, or I'd like council to give Sandy an idea of, yeah, keep it, no, can it, or move it to a future year. And then we'll come back to you with the second list and let's go from there.
The trees weren't removed, Chris?
Sorry,
Weren't the trees already removed from the park?
the dead trees?
Yeah.
Sorry, we'll go through it.
Can you start with one?
Yeah. So, just to go over the agenda, so tonight we're going to review that 2020 financial plan timeline, review the list, examine each project in detail, add or remove as needed by council, and then conclude for the second one. Before I jump into that, we've got this matter of the PRRD ECDev projects that's kind of bubbled up. The PRRD CFO sent us an email just prior to Christmas and said they needed to know what Village of Pouce Coupe Council's collaborative partnership projects for ECDev would be by January 15th. I said, that's not going to work, guys. So, long story short, what I did is I mentioned to the CFO that we're definitely interested in the regional housing assessment, but there really hadn't been anything else that had bubbled up throughout the year that we were going to partner on for this year. So I think
This was at the
I think we're
PRD when
okay.
I was in Mexico. This was
Yeah.
passed.
yeah, and so in talking to the CFO, they put a report in front of the PRRD board. The assumption from staff was that because it was a report and a discussion that it would filter back to the respective, apparently nobody did. So everybody did. So, is what it is. Looking at the budget timeline in general, we got 5 to 6 meetings for this year. First and second meeting are these ones, capital and special projects. I've got Lorraine and Donna listed as away on the 5th. Third and fourth meeting will be for operational expenses, and then fifth and sixth meeting will be to wrap everything up and set tax rates and figure out where those things are going to be. If everything goes according to that tentative schedule, we should have everything done a full month ahead of the budget deadline, so ample time to make changes or call a special meeting, make sure we get it right to where we want it to be. Dipping into the budget itself, just a quick recap, the difference between capital and special projects. Capital projects are generally those things that are tactile. We can see them, touch them. Examples are equipment, roads, paving, buildings, etc. Usually those provide a long-term benefit to the municipality, and most of them wind up on the financial statements as a capital item for depreciation. The difference between that and a special projects are generally intangible. We can often, use them or feel them, but they do provide benefits to the community. Most special projects are things like studies, consultant costs, plans, that type of thing. An example from last year was the sidewalk study, for example. We wanted to build a sidewalk, we identified that as a need. We needed to have somebody come in and really give us a document that says, yes, this can or can't be done, and here's where it should go. So that falls into this category. They may provide long-term benefit, but they're often done to address an immediate need. So, dipping right into the actual projects. The first one, paved sewer fix on 48. So in 2019, we repaired that improper sewer connection, over on 48. The pavement was not replaced over the excavated section. It's not very big. We're estimating about $10,000 to fix it. And in a lot of the things down below, I do make a note as to whether or not this has to be done this year or we can push it a year. We spoke about it again this morning. There's no real operational issue if council wants to push that off. One of the slides you'll see later on is just a general paving project. We don't have a street identified this year to do a resurface for a repair sort of patch pave. I think this would be better left. It's going to be more expensive if we bring somebody in to pave just this one little strip rather than have them do a couple of things around town at some future date. But it's up to you guys. We could face complaints from the residents on that road that patch hasn't been done.
Bart?
Water Tower Road,
Mm-hmm.
how is that paving?
Yeah.
Why I'm asking is, there was an accident just recently and the Ministry of Transportation detoured people up that road to get around Jan's Corner.
Yeah, I've had 2 conversations with the ministry already about that. That was one of the things Katie was going to speak to in her presentation, but they weren't able to make it tonight. So,
Okay.
the gist of that though is it is fully within council's authority to close that off to any heavy truck traffic for future use. The ministry really can't say anything about it. It's our road. So
That'd be pretty frickin' ignorant to stop a trucker taking his haul to his job to put food on his table and us decide to close that street? I highly doubt. I'll protest that one.
so
What I'm asking for is that we had discussed previous paving issues
Yeah.
on that particular
Yeah.
street, and we're talking.
so that patch, the original patch that was done did fail. Peter Brothers came in and did good by us and redid it, and it seems to be holding up well now. So, yeah.
So are they any, I guess because she didn't come, they'd be interested in helping us to do that street.
I asked them that question point blank, and they said there's no precedent for that.
Okay. Getting back to this. The why. Was there, that why changed?
The connection was made proper according to the bylaw. So both of those houses now have a dedicated connection directly to the main, as opposed to the Y into a single connection that was there before.
Oh, so they each have their own separate lines?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Push this to 2021?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if we're gonna pave something else.
Yeah, okay. So that'll come up in a bit. Railway Avenue sewer repairs, estimate 50,000. So in 2019, we had a camera guy come in and do some work, and I believe it may have actually been on that wide pipe. But anyways, we asked him to scope a couple of other areas at the same time. He took a look at what's underneath Railway and said it's not in the best shape. Nothing's failed on there yet that we know of. There haven't been any sort of repetitive issues that we've had to go back and dig it up, but he said we need to consider this for future updating. Problem is it's going to be expensive. So,
So we can take this $50,000 and move it. and keep adding to this.
We could, yeah.
And that's what I think we should be doing, because it hasn't failed, it's paved, so then we'd have to worry about it being paved again.
Yeah, correct.
So I think we should maybe just keep adding money to the sewer and water,
Okay,
and
and you guys motioned for, I think it was 120,000, if I'm not mistaken, to start going into the reserve last year, so, yeah, so we're building that up. But my feeling on this too is that, yeah, until it fails, the catalyst to actually do it would be when it fails, rather than dig it up proactively, I think, in my mind, but.
Ryan?
But as a village, isn't it our duty, due diligence to make sure that our residents have sewer?
Well, they do.
Well, yeah, but if this fails,
Then
they won't have it, and we know that it's in poor condition.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Is it in poor
It's
condition?
in poor condition.
What's the poor condition? Do we have the pictures of them?
There's video footage, but I mean, this was the opinion of the folks that do that along. So Blair looked at the footage along with the camera guy, and yeah.
Is it actually collapsed? Is it actually
No.
chunks of
No,
it?
it just looks like it's starting to move from what I understand. I mean, I haven't looked at the footage, I don't know sewer pipe from all in the walls.
Is it the old cast or not?
I don't know, I'd have to check.
Yeah, let's ask this builder over here in the, what do you think, Jonathan, that we should do?
You honestly want to know?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think if you ran a camera through any sewer, someone who does this for a living will say, oh yeah, look, it's got a 5 millimeter sag in it, we should fix this. So in an engineer's mind, this is an imperfect world, we'd be fixing everything. But I mean, I agree, like, it's working, put money where money is needed, and it's, why dig it up if it's...
And the money's there.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with you on that. Yeah.
Thank you. Marlene, you have something to say now?
Is this the same section that had frozen?
No,
No?
no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And will we be getting bills from people when it backs up? No? Okay.
Their insurance will cover it.
Yeah.
Okay, so can I have a motion to move that, Chris, or do I do anything?
So would the motion then be that, well, we don't need a motion on each one, folks, just a consensus would be good, but is this something I should just knock off of there and we continue to build the reserve until we need it?
I think if we build a reserve, if we take that 50 grand and put it in the reserve, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, okay. So does that mean that we up the reserve to 170,000 a year as opposed to, or wherever the number was, plus 50? Yeah?
Yeah, whatever we decide we're not gonna fix,
Yeah.
gets moved into the
Okay.
reserve.
Okay, can you make a note of that, please, Cindy? So that reserve number, will add
Continue to
50,000.
build the reserve.
Yeah, so then that'll come up in the operational budget, folks, that's a transfer to a reserve, so we'll see that line when we go over
Do
the.
you want this to
the
say
sewer
add this
section.
50,000 to that?
Yeah, please. Okay, moving on. Post office upgrades, as suggested by the post office liaison, Councillor Hebert. Possibility for interior and exterior upgrades and or alterations to the building.
Ryan?
There is one pressing matter, and it is that hot water tank and getting water from it. That has to be dealt with.
We fixed that.
Fixed.
Yeah.
That's
That's-
fixed.
You
And
have a different, you put water in there?
the
Put a
issue.
tap in there?
Yeah, there was a tap, because
Put
from,
on the hot water tank.
I'd have to double check.
Yes.
No,
We
I
had-
think me and Chris had this
That'd be-
conversation and Blair was to fix that.
Nope, we had a plumber come in and the instructions to the plumber were make it to code.
Exactly.
So,
It's still coming from that hot water tank?
She's using the pressure relief valve?
no, she
No,
was.
not, no.
Yeah, she
But there
was.
was a different valve added.
Yeah.
So
But
there's-
I think that that's a safety issue in itself.
So she's got a bathroom, there's no,
There's no, because before it used to have a bigger sink.
Yeah, that's,
And then that sink was propped up with a broom handle. So when the village took it over, the broom handle was removed, as well as that sinking sink. And a different one was put in with a cabinet. So now you can't get water
can't get,
from that bathroom sink.
can't get a bucket under the sink, is
No.
what I heard.
So
And
how come
Or add a hose or anything.
So that was, I know that repair was done, like I say, by a certified plumber in consultation
Yes,
with
it
the
was. It
postmaster.
was.
So I assume whatever's in there now is up to both their standards.
Who picked the bathroom cabinet over the sink?
No idea.
It wasn't us.
So can we make a motion to remove that bathroom cabinet and give her an actual utility sink? So
But
that
it's
she
a-
can actually put a pail in there, turn the hot water on, turn the cold water on, and be done. Right.
But it's a facility. I mean, it's got a toilet in there and a bathroom sink.
She can't wash her hands from the other sink?
And a utility sink.
Why not? I don't know, it's a post office, it's,
I've done it before.
like, we can't hire a plumber to come in and revamp the whole building.
I'm not
To have
asking to
her
revamp.
taps.
I'm not asking to revamp that.
We
All
could
I'm
always
saying
redo
is
it.
that
We could always
we're all-
redo the
You know
tap.
what, when I'm talking, I just really like to finish it. So if we could have some extensions of water pipes underneath the floor and coming up the inside wall, which I think is about 6 feet, 8 feet. It's not very long. And have taps put in behind the door. And then some kind of tub or something where she could just fill up her bucket or his bucket, whomever's cleaning, and that's where they would empty it as well. I don't think it's going to cost very much. I haven't looked into it, but
Yeah, something minor like that, it's not a ton of money. for
no,
sure.
it's
This-
not. And it's just a small thing, and to me, it's a lot safer than getting it from that valve out of that hot water tank.
It's a lot better than lugging water from the school out to our portables because there's no water there. I think it's a nice gesture.
They're using the wipey so the kids can have the chemicals on their arms instead.
So, maybe to jump back into this, the reason, and if I recall a conversation from this summer, it was more about exterior upgrades, revamping the vestibule area.
No, I know.
So, and really, and I think one of the questions I was hoping to discuss with you guys is that building in its current state worth putting this kind of money into it?
No,
What is Canada Post say?
Canada Post says they're happy with the building as is.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
So can we
Yes.
just get, right now, can we maybe change the faucets on the bathroom taps for her to actually have a big sink, and then maybe we can give her a garden hose until we actually get it plumbed in? So she doesn't actually burn herself on the hot water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I have a motion, somebody to do that, please?
I'll make the motion.
I know you're motion that guy, but I'm sorry. Council.
You want to get in on this?
Okay.
So,
So-
we need a motion for you to figure out how much it's gonna cost for a plumber.
Yeah, we'll
Do that.
we'll get a couple of quotes, that won't be expensive.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is that all for that line, folks? Is there anything else
Yes.
you'd like us to do, consider on the post office? Okay.
It's good.
Here's where we're at, the next paving one. So I put this down as a possible project. If council decides on a street, we need it pre-approved to go out and get some tenders and stuff. But right now, I've put that in the budget as just an annual recurring pavement maintenance line. But really, we don't have a road that's been identified by staff as needing pavement this year, although it was discussed this morning at the staff meeting that maybe the road in front of the school is starting to get a little bit shabby too. So the pavement's starting to spider there pretty bad.
Okay, so Chris, can we move this $100,000 or whatever it costs to do the plumbing's gonna come out of that $100,000? Can we take the $100,000 and put it in street and lanes?
Sure. Yeah, it's your guys' budget. That number can be anything you want it to be.
Can I have a motion to do that? Mine?
Oh, I just wanted to point out too, because I'm one of the original streets that had the water and sewer replaced on 49. And that with the amount of moisture that we had, that the sinkholes from the sewer lines going across the road are starting to get deeper. And I'm wondering if we get more wet weather, and it seems that with the change around here in climate, I don't want to say climate change, We used to be a drought area. Now we have a lot of more moisture. And it has been duly noted by plenty of people that we're having more heating, which we've never experienced before. And now these dips are getting deeper, and I just want you guys to be aware of that.
Mother Nature's speedboats.
We've actually had those sort of discussions in the staff meetings too. Well, you don't need a speed bump there, there's a big dip.
Well, I mean, you know what?
I'm just being-
Yeah, I realize that.
We've also been told that those sort of the sinking in the pavement isn't actually village infrastructure, it was from natural gas lines that were installed a while ago. So I don't have confirmation of that, but that's been thrown out there too. It might be where the gas lines are that's actually sinking as opposed to the
The
sewer.
gas lines come from the back alleys.
Ah, well, okay,
They do, yes,
Okay.
they're not from the front.
okay.
Yeah, it's from the sewer lines.
So
But
is there a street then that you guys would like to see done this year?
Well, at some point or another,
Mm-hmm.
may I remind you all, in February last year, we had Urban Systems come in and do our roadway condition assessment and inventory. And I think that we should have them come and give us a presentation so that it would make these sorts of decisions a lot easier.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah?
so we'll just leave that 160,000 or whatever it is,
So
in
we'll
the streets and lanes,
up
and
that
then when they
number.
come?
Yep.
Well, no, there's no approval to move that 100,000 over to the 60,000. There was, you had asked, there was no motion, right? Why do you want to move that 100,000 over to the 60,000?
I don't know, just move it into paving or move it into something, move it.
How about move it out of the budget?
Well, we can do that too,
Okay.
but if we need the whole street done, we need to keep it around.
We'll consider it to be like the sewer. We'll wait till it's broken before we look at it.
Yeah.
Siding on village buildings.
I have an issue with this, Chris, why wasn't this on the insurance? With the
Which-
hailstorm? Why wasn't the?
It wasn't all hailstorm damage, your worship, it's just general deterioration of the building. There was some hail damage to the wooden siding, but not enough for the insurance company to replace it, it was just dents in the wood. So, this was after, you and Councilor Hebert had done sort of the walk
Yeah, I know.
around. Yeah, walk around town, so you know, and like I say, this whole list is a sort of running tally of everything that bubbled up throughout the year. I keep a spreadsheet, and as something comes up, I go into it, add it, and that's for budget the following year. And the two that were looked at were for the village office and the old library. And I strongly feel the old library needs some attention in a big way. So yeah, old library particularly bad. I don't think it needs new siding because it is wood. Probably just needs a good scrape and a repaint. Village office, of course, is in much better shape. There are some areas where the paint's gone and the wood's getting a little punky. So what we're thinking there is contract out the painting and our staff can remove the rotten boards and replace those. So,
We don't have anyone in-house that could perform that service.
not the painting, Councilor Grover, no.
What a shame,
And we're thinking a shame to replace the wood and mill that up and match it nicely, so.
So what are you looking for, a certified painter?
We typically tender that out, and yeah, the last painter we did, we go through the standard tendering process. They gotta be WCB certified, have references,
liability insurance.
yeah, liability insurance, everything that's.
That's if you hired out. But we got nobody, summer students can do painting.
We could, but then we're taking summer students away from much needed maintenance duties and telling them to paint the building for a month.
Come on now, let's consider the cost of hiring it out versus doing it ourselves.
So we could look at getting extra summer students. You know, that's an option too, but there's that trade-off. Anything we decide to do ourselves, especially a multi-week maintenance project like that, we're pulling folks off of other duties, so.
How big is the old library?
Big. That's a scaffolding, summer student
Yep.
painting job,
Very
scraping,
good.
masks, suits, the whole 9 yards.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we are responsible.
Barb,
These extra jobs as in painting and stuff like that, the hours that Public Works did it, how much stress is that gonna be on, like you say, trying to get everything, the lawns mowed, the planters watered, you know, all that?
Yeah.
Have you got an idea of how many extra hours that you have to play with as we go down this list to say, whoa, I'm at max
Yeah.
for Public Works?
So if we bring on 4 summer students, in effect, there is no extra hours. Those folks have 7.5-hour days every day. There's always something to cut, mow, pick up, clean. There's no lack of work for those folks. We assign them a project of, let's say, a month, 2 weeks per building here. Who's cutting parks, who's weed whacking the ditches, who's doing all that stuff. We're taking them away from those other duties to make them do this. The other conversation that happened with Blair this morning, anytime we take something like this on, it does actually make it longer. So somebody in the construction space or the painting space is gonna show up with a van with all their equipment, they go out, they do their thing every day, they come in, they pack it up, they take it home. Right? If we're doing that, we're mobilizing all of that equipment every morning too. So, all the equipment has to be stored somewhere, Public Works, to be loaded, brought here. We don't have a cargo trailer to store it all, or a van, or any of that stuff. So, out of that 7.5-hour day, we're spending 2 hours a day getting to and packing everything up and leaving the site so that it doesn't all get stolen that night. So that makes the project longer and everything just sort of spirals out from there. My thoughts, folks, on this kind of stuff. We do the things that we can fit in and that we're qualified and equipped to do. Painting an entire building, farm that out to somebody who does that for a living, will get much better results.
I believe that the village office could probably wait. This is my opinion. The old library, we're calling it old library, it's 30 years old and it hasn't been touched.
It's not even that.
It was when I was on council, 25 years, whatever.
No, it wasn't there when you were on council.
Yes, it was. That's what it was built, with Brian Boyd, Joe Judge, Georgette Waldy, myself, Diana Chong. So the library really does need that attention. The windows are starting to rot because the paint is coming off. There was moss growing up the back.
It just needs to be done.
It needs to be done.
All our attention needs to be put on that building. It's ridiculous. Pardon?
And this one?
No, the siding's quite fine, it's not leaking, I'm not gonna spend $20,000 on siding for this building when everything's still standing. It may look a little decrepit, but that money needs to go up to that one.
So if council, I'm kind of hearing a consensus that there should be a focus on that one. Maybe we should up this number then and give that
You think
building.
$20,000 would cost more, $20,000 to paint that?
As soon as we're talking windows and door frames and stuff like that, 20,000 is not gonna cut it.
Painted.
Just to paint it, probably, because I think we spent 13 to do a museum. I think it was 13.
11 and 13.
Yeah, 13 to do a
Between one and
museum,
another.
so we kind of use that as a base.
Okay.
Yeah, because we'll have to replace the trim.
Well, there was one window broken too.
Yeah.
It's fixed. That
So
was
you would need to know exactly what you want to do to the building
Painted.
and include that in the quote.
So what do you want in the quote?
Whatever needs to be done. Would you say the windows need to be done, doors need to be replaced?
No, not replaced, painted.
Repainted, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they might need a little bit of repair. I can't remember if they have dimples or
Yeah,
not.
probably new seals.
Yes. So can I make a motion that we get a quote? How's that?
3 quotes.
3 quotes on what though? Was he supposed to put
On
on the?
paint,
Door frames, window frames.
paint for the, yeah, painting for the building. How's that?
say the
Seconded?
whole building envelope, frames, doors, everything?
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Okay.
Barb will second it. All in favor?
Okay, awesome. Removal of the dead trees at Poos Park, Your Worship, you brought this up earlier. These are trees that have died post-flood incident. We knew after that flood they wouldn't all survive. There's actually a lot of some big poplars and a bunch of spruce along the riverfront. Ordinarily, removing dead trees would just be an operational item, but because there's so many of them, I wanted to make you guys aware of it and just put it in here as a project instead, so. And yeah, we're not qualified to fell big trees like that, so we'll get.
No, you, why not? Where's your certificate?
I had it once upon a time, but, yeah, so that one I think is just a given. We gotta do that from a safety standpoint.
Okay.
Public Works policy upgrades, mostly internal work. So the budget here is to send the final copies of this for professional review if needed. So the policies that we're looking at reviewing or adding, in some cases for Public Works or safety ones, use of equipment and other operational areas, and specifically a confined space policy. We don't currently have one. And many of the Public Works policies right now are either lacking or updated. So, there you go. Okay. Housing needs assessment, I put $1 in there. I did speak to Katrin. She's not super sure where that's gonna land as to the village's contribution for that, but the project now is gonna look at a regional housing needs assessment done under the PRRD, and then each municipality is gonna get its own sort of subsection.
And that's seniors?
Yeah, that'll be everything. They'll be looking at the full range of available housing in those communities and coming up with a report. What she did assure me was that it's guaranteed to be cheaper for us lumping it into the PRRD than trying to duplicate a lot of the work and just do it ourselves. I think that's a good idea. I've said maybe around $5,000. That's a total guess.
Barb?
Should we put that 5,000 in the housing needs assessment in there to have it in our budget?
Good. And anything on that budget too, Councillor Smith, can be amended at any time. And I remember last year I came back to you guys with that. I think we had 50,000 for one of the paving projects, and the lowest quote I got was 57. So I couldn't move forward with the project until council gave it a go ahead. Same thing with this. But yeah, I'll move the 5 in that column just as a better placeholder. And if it turns out to be 6, well, I'll come back to you guys and see if you're comfortable with 6.
So you're gonna have to familiarize me with this childcare assessment of $7,500 and contract out.
So there's actually a sample child care assessment in your agenda package, and we put it in there for that reason. Sandy and I struggled with whether or not we should put all of that literature in there, but we made the call to do it.
But it says contract out. Does that mean we've already put the contract out?
Nope, I've had, this number comes directly from a consultant who does these analysis. And they go and get data from the census, and they'll come up with number of kids in town, outline service area, what the need is, demographics, where a facility could be, who's involved, it's kind of a turnkey plan. Again, very similar to what you guys see in your agenda.
So it's business. It would be a business for the village, so we don't do business.
So there's a couple of different models that have come up with this. So the child care needs assessment is needed to access the subsidized daycare from the province. Without that, you can't get it. So this really is that document that sort of gives us the idea of whether or not there's even a need. Because we've talked about it at length. Oh, wouldn't it be great to have a daycare? Do we know if anybody even wants to use it?
So on top of it all, so if you phone all the child care places in Dawson, you can actually ask them if they take kids from the ministry, and they'll tell you no.
Okay.
Because it's not a moneymaker.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have enough money for administration costs. They don't have enough money for the bookkeeper.
Okay.
It's not a good business.
Okay. So that's something to consider.
So if we can get somebody, maybe call
Is this a study you guys even want to have done?
Bart?
You know?
Is this something that we should move it to another year until we get our housing needs assessment done?
Yeah, I've kind of thought it'd be best in the 2020 column, so. Yeah.
Okay.
Push it forward.
Yeah,
Okay.
in favor?
Okay, update the strategic plan. This one's changed a little bit. It was 15,000 on that spreadsheet, but I realized, talking to Urban last week, the current estimate on the document is 30,500. So 15,000 was my placeholder in an early draft, and I didn't update it. So the new number there should be that 30,500. The former strategic plan was adopted in 2015, and this was one of those good news stories for everybody from 2019. We actually completed about 90% of the action items in the former strategic plan a year ahead of schedule. So really good. But, you know, again, this is something big, expensive. It's an expensive document. At the end of the day, though, the municipality actually has to have one. A lot of our grants and other things ask, you know, does this project tie into your strategic plan? If you say in the grant application, we don't have a strategic plan, we're building things willy-nilly, your likelihood of getting the grant funding drops pretty low. It is something we could push till 2021, however, because the current one is a document until 2020. Yeah, so this year's still valid.
Barb?
And we'd have the housing study, housing needs
Yeah.
assessment done.
By the regional district.
Yeah.
And we've actually got one. The next slide you'll see is something I'm really hoping that council will give us the go ahead with this year, because I think it's on the need. So that one pushed to 2020? Yeah, or 2021. Draft development procedures manual. So, 32,000 for this one as well. Same issue. I put a $15,000 placeholder there early on in the year, but this is something that we'd be working with Urban Systems on, and it would be to draft a set of procedures for planning and building developments, large or small in scale. Right now, a lot of that stuff, as we've seen with Mr. Simmons, is kind of willy-nilly. It's in various bylaws all over the place. This would take all of that, put it into a comprehensive document, create a bylaw that points to that document, and would alleviate some of the conflicts we've seen in development and the permitting approval process. So
I think that's awesome.
I do have.
That stops the developer from not having any headaches.
Well, and that's it. It puts everybody on the same level playing field. So this is where all of those costs come from. So really, what that starts off with is, you know, there's going to be 4 deliverables. The manual itself, the procedures, bylaw, all the forms and everything are going to be in one convenient place. And then this is, of course, something that'll go public, and then it'll also be in like summary brochures for people. So somebody comes in and says, I want to build a house, but I don't even know where to start. Oh, great, here's the summary brochure. Give it some thought if this is something you want to take on. And it'll cover all of those various areas. It's broken down into 4 strategic steps. I'll skip forward. So the costs of those are here. So really, it's a project that's the sum of the parts. So there's no doubt that the number, it's going to be an expensive piece of paper, but it's broken down between all these various areas. So the original background review is $2,500. Startup meeting where Urban will come in and talk to you guys and say, okay, what are the development issues you've seen in the community? There's going to be a community consultation piece to that as well, so they'll interview key folks out there on the opposite side of the equation, and then it'll be the workshop and then the final document. I think this will really help everybody be on the same page moving forwards.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. The boundary extension is kind of just a given. You guys are already looking for more meetings, so any objection to that? No?
Can you just go back here, Chris?
Yep.
Who is going to be doing this study?
That's still Urban Systems. So you guys have asked for, remember the last meeting we had with Urban, we said study both options and let's see where that goes.
Yeah.
We need the budget here pre-approved so they can actually keep going on that work.
So just in these 3 things, we're prepared to shell out $60,000 to Urban Systems.
people with master's degrees aren't cheap.
Well, we need to exercise caution, right? We're farming this out $60,000 to urban to do that. We want $10,000 for people to take 10 to 15 trees out of the park. We want $20,000 for someone to come over and paint a building for us. I mean, I think we're living pretty high in the hog. Go ahead.
Our strategic plan has to be done. So for $60,000, that also gives us a door for grants and that once we have that completed. The redoing the building development procedures thing, it's gonna save a lot of time in the future if we have that. I'm thinking for staff and for council.
We don't have a system in place now to address this?
We've got 5 or 6 bylaws that speak to various requirements, paperwork. It's all willy-nilly.
It's fine, we're getting all the work done, but we're paying professionals to do it all for us, as opposed to doing it ourselves.
So to maybe comment to that, Ken, no one under the staff or the village's current employment is qualified to put together a development procedure.
Yeah, but you know what? We have something that works, you're looking to improve it.
Jonathan, what do you have to say?
What's that?
What do you have to say?
Can I say a few things?
Yeah.
Okay, because of course I have whatever. I'm
You have
different.
history.
Well, yeah, no, like when I originally went to do my development, I was actually forced and not allowed to do my development. I had to delay it another year until the oil crisis because they had to redo the servicing development bylaw. So in 2015, you already did a whole new one, servicing and development bylaw. So I wouldn't say it's willy-nilly, because I know it took my cost for my engineer, once you did the new bylaw, it doubled my cost to do the development, so. I just think, I agree with Ken, okay, so let's keep shelling out 60 grand a year to urban systems, so we can keep having more paperwork for more developments that aren't gonna happen. I'm just telling you right now. Mine's been sitting for 5 years, and we're struggling just to get the road paved so we can draw more people in, but we're spending 60 grand a year doing things that might be helpful in the future, but I have to say, I don't think, there was a few hitches on our development, but I think it was all engineered, it was done as per spec, other than there were some miscommunications between previous staff who left instantly, right? But I mean, all the development bylaws, everything was done by the book. So I mean, I just know how it works with engineers. It's kind of like lawyers. The longer they can retain you, the more money they can make. The more complicated the document, you have to ask them for advice. Then you pay them more money, and it never ends. So as the village of Poos, just like us in the oil crisis, we're all trimming the fat. We're just trying to survive here. I mean, I think the village should maybe look at the same, let's do what's necessary. Is there an unpaved road? Is there some streetlights that need to be fixed? Is there something we need immediately that can help us now? I mean, that's my opinion.
Thank you. Chris?
Up to you guys. Everything in here is completely optional and 3 options, yay, nay, move it forward. I'm okay with any one of those 3. That's the
And we're on the boundary
presentation.
extension, is that where we're at?
So, well, no, sorry, we skipped. Ken asked me to go back to the boundary extension there just to sort of sum up some of
Boundary
yeah. The boundary extension, honestly, folks, we don't have a choice. You guys directed Urban Systems to go back and study both of those options. So if council doesn't approve that, I'm literally calling Katrin in the morning, whole thing, guys, stops. I've got no money to pay you to do your work. So,
And she's already in it.
yeah.
Your recommendation?
I don't have a recommendation.
The development procedures, yeah, absolutely, absolutely optional. But you've got 2 cases just this last year alone where the lack of something like that with clarity has created issues for everybody involved. Both the contractors and us on the administration side. But, you know, like you guys are saying, it's not a cheap document.
No.
And
So we're at the draft development procedure, is what you're
Yeah.
saying? Okay.
where did we go? No, we skipped. No, sorry, Ken brought up, asked me to go back, so we skipped back a couple more still. So the development, yeah, technically we're here, yeah. So that was a yes a couple minutes ago, but I'm thinking might
I say yay.
be a maybe. Or a no.
Would this make it easier for the developer?
Well, I don't think so, like, I mean, like, I think the village needs to focus on, like, let's finish what we have on the go right now, because, I mean, honestly, if we're, so, I mean, that's obviously why me and Jesse are here, we're trying to hopefully, I mean, let's get Elevator Road paved, because, I mean, it's serving 27 residences, plus all of the trestle. So when you look at the village has some property for sale, hey, come on, guys, come develop in Poos. We ain't gonna pave your roads, but we're gonna work on this and this and this and make it harder for you to develop, but come on in. So I mean, I know that's the devil's advocate, but I don't think Poos is, I love the village, but just the economic time right now, I don't think it's gonna be a development mecca for the next 4 or 5 years. Like, I think this is something that can be, I agree, let's update it, but does it need to be done right now? I don't think so, because I don't think you're gonna see a lot of development until maybe 2022. And that's just knowledge in the oil and gas industry, so.
So what if this stuff that, can we not do? You said the one thing that you can't call tomorrow.
Well, yeah, so the boundary extension, the trees are a definite yes. Yeah, this is, you know, is this absolutely mission critical? No. But as it stands right now, like I kind of mentioned, somebody comes in and wants to talk to me or any of my staff, hey, I want to build a house in Poos, what do I need? We're telling them to call the building inspector. I'm an accountant. Our firm counter staff are not building professionals either. We don't have a comprehensive document to hand to those
But
folks
even
to say, here's the standards.
But even if we had the comprehensive development document, we wouldn't still be able to be able to clearly tell the people how to do it.
Technically, no.
You can't tell anybody how to do anything, really.
Well, I know, but I mean, if they ask questions, right, we wouldn't be able to answer.
It can easily be pushed to 2021 if you guys are on the fence about it.
Let's do that.
Under extension, we went over zoning bylaw. Looking for pre-approval on this one too. We've had some issues with the zoning bylaw over the last couple of years as well. And I've got it uploaded in the background there if we want to bring it up. But one of the main issues that's bubbled up in the zoning bylaws, the way it was written is there's a general conditions section and then there's each of the various zones and what's allowed in those. The general conditions section is several pages long, and that speaks to some of the size of sheds or garages versus the houses and all of that stuff. We've run into issues a couple of times, and I've had quite a few heated discussions with members of the public up front that, oh, I got my house, I want to build this 4,000 square foot shop, and it says in the, you know, in the residential zone that, yeah, I can have an accessory building, that's fine. Nope, you can't, because your shop can't be bigger than the principal residence. Well, it doesn't say that here. Nope, you had to have read 50 pages earlier in the bylaw to catch that. So what we want to do is take that section or that piece of the bylaw and put it into each of the various zones. So we can say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you're in a, you know, an R2 zone. You want to do whatever, here's all of the criteria for your zone, as opposed to handing them all the bylaw and expecting that the resident is going to start at the table of contents and read it right to the end, which nobody's doing.
So you're saying Urban Systems is just gonna do this? Who's gonna work with
Yeah,
Urban
that's,
Systems?
yeah, that's another urban matter.
But don't we already have a bylaw
We-
writer on staff? For zoning bylaw?
We've got
writer?
this, well, we've got the zoning bylaw now, but it's missing the mark and.
But don't we have a bylaw guy on staff that already can write that?
Sam?
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect that Sam could do zoning.
It's a bylaw.
We ask him and see.
I wouldn't feel,
Okay.
no,
But
to
he
be honest
has
with
the
you.
expertise.
Yeah,
He
Counselor White,
enforces the
I wouldn't
bylaws.
ask the bylaw officer to rewrite a zoning bylaw, he's not qualified to do that. That
No,
takes
but I'm
some-
just asking
Yeah.
if maybe he did take that training?
There's certain bylaws that we can write up as staff, and you guys often see that. We come to you with those a few times a year. Some of these require technicalities. Zoning, we can be sued, action, all kinds of bad stuff can happen. So when we have a zoning bylaw that's got a lot of risk associated to it, that's one of those things that we want to make sure we're shifting the liability and putting the professionals in front of the language.
We don't have a board variance either, do
No,
we?
we don't.
Which we probably should.
We tried a couple of years ago, and we were out there for 6 months trying to get folks onto the variance board, and nobody came to the table. So as it stands now, council's the variance board. You guys, it defaults to council if there's no members of the public who want to do it.
There's no other documents from surrounding municipalities that we could review and see if we could.
Everyone's different. I mean, this is one of those things we could try. You know, we could try and put it together. I mean, I got an idea about what that language should look like and how it goes. But this is really the foundation document that provides people the authority to build on various lots in town. We get this wrong, misaligning it somewhere. I'm not an urban planner. So is that a yes?
I guess.
Yeah, okay. Office for the fire chief, I'm gonna skip over this one. I've talked to Blair twice about it, including the, the meeting here today. He's okay with it. I just put it on there in case you guys said, you know what, you wanna give him something other than what he's got over at Public Works right now, which isn't the best office, but it is what it is. No? Okay. Okay, fire hydrant upgrades, also requested by the fire chief. This is to buy us some stock of new internal parts and then purchase a couple of reserve fire hydrants for around the village. Our reserve isn't really that big. Blair also wants to take the community and divide it into 3 sections and go around and replace all of the seals and guts in all of the fire hydrants on a rotating basis as well. So this part of that project. Senior survey, Councilor Smith. So this was to survey village seniors on various items, and then also this is to have somebody actually go out and do that surveying work. And I kind of put a line on the bottom part, hate to put you on the spot.
I don't know, what do council, do they want to hold off this information for another year, or do they want me to slowly work on it? I attended a meeting last week at Better at Home, and there was about 30 different people there from different organizations, network ministries, the ambulance, food banks, Northern Lights College, a number. The seniors from Dawson Creek. They weren't aware that we had a food bank here. I sent them information I got information from Carolyn what goes on at the seniors hall here, the suppers, the bingos and all that. So basically what I want to do is find out I want to hear from the seniors what their issues are. That's why I wanted to do a survey
Yeah.
online and mail it.
Yeah, and then the discussion was to use something like SurveyMonkey or
Yeah.
whatnot to put together something that was professional and You know, they know how to go out there and actually interact with people. And it was really to get a sort of heartbeat of the seniors in the community. You know, and one of the things that came up was,
Well, the senior supper would have been a really good one to have that survey at, because we had a lot of Acushnet seniors at our supper, didn't we, Donna?
Mm-hmm. That would have been fantastic.
wasn't in last year's budget, so.
I don't think so. We can get to know people when we have tea with them at the senior hall. Wouldn't take us, one of us could go over to the senior hall and have tea with them and find out what their issues are.
Definitely an option.
Talk to them. Talk to the seniors.
The, I'd like to do a survey. It seems fairly cheap for a mail out.
Mhm.
I don't know if a whole lot of our seniors are computer literate that would respond to an online survey, but that's an assumption, I don't know.
Yeah, not very many.
There's the article.
Yeah.
Right?
And the seniors at the seniors hall, most of them are from Dawson Creek. They're not
Knock on their door, ask if they have any issues.
Yeah, and this, like,
You wanna get to know the residents, that's a good way to do it.
yeah, like you guys are saying, this might be a good networking opportunity for you as politicians to go to some of those seniors events and talk to those folks and see what they're saying. The only issue with that though is that sometimes the information tends to get lost, right? If we do it as a survey, then there's at least some file that we can reference at some point that said, oh, well, 3 years ago, the seniors said they would really like a bingo hall in town, or whatever that might be.
And everybody's getting asked the same
And
questions.
everybody's getting asked the same questions, yeah. But-
Alright. We're seniors? No, you don't. I mean, having a tea with some of the seniors or having a conversation isn't that big a deal. And a lot of people around here, they have family that are watching out for them. I mean, my mom's got my brother and myself.
So maybe we switch this up a little bit, and it's not a survey. Maybe we change the heading and the intent of the budget line item, and we allocate council some money to actually host something like a seniors roundtable. You guys get together at the community hall, invite seniors in to just have a discussion. I actually attended one that Bob Zimmer did at the seniors hall there last year, same kind of thing. You just put it out there, hey, you guys are part of my demographic, and I'd like to get together with you and talk about what your issues were.
Hey, that's a good idea.
So,
That is a
you
good
know,
idea.
and then
Sure.
$1,500, let's say, will get you some refreshments and drinks and snacks, and you know, away you go.
We only had five. I say five.
5?
We got all ours free.
Okay, so we'll change that to seniors roundtable with a $500
Limit.
drink and refreshment budget.
And Barb will do that.
Okay. Why? That's odd. Okay, Jimmy, you want
Yeah,
to-
but if we got the grannies to bring homemade pies, then we could sell
Then
them.
we'll have coffee, then we'll have coffee or tea now.
Grannies with their pies.
It's delicious.
Thanks for the granny comment.
Yeah, exactly.
Hi, here we go.
I'm a grandpa, what can I say?
The Brannies can't bring homemade pies unless it was made in a food safe certified kitchen.
Speaking of kitchen, new coolers for the community center. We went over this again at the staff meeting, and the new recommendation from staff is that we change it from 2 to 1. But these are what we're looking to replace, those two old coolers there. We had a $900 repair on one of them here this summer, and the technician that came out said these things are on their last legs.
So do we have to order this product, or
I believe so.
can we just buy it from a distributor in Edmonton?
I think so, your worship. I got that number because I went online, and the ones I was able to find were out of the States, and they were like $6,900. And actually, this one was from a sales website out of the US for $6,900, so I thought 10's probably pretty close.
Any other action to find something?
Yeah, we'll definitely buy some Canadian for sure. We won't
Yeah.
go to the States for.
But we're not just taking those ones out now and buying new ones. we're gonna put the money in the budget in case those ones break down and then we can replace them?
The hope was to replace one right now, your worship, yeah.
Probably should.
Well, they both were working on,
Yeah, but they're not the greatest,
No.
believe me.
The seals are dying, they're
They
at
weren't
least-
staying as cold as they should.
Yeah, they're at least 15 years old. And we're renting that community center with an expectation that those are available too, so. But it did go around the room lots today in the staff meeting too, and that's how we kind of thought one was there too.
mine.
And did you do any kind of research on it, if turning them on and off is shortening up their lifespan, damaging them?
No idea.
Oh, okay.
I think they stay on most of the time, don't they? No?
No, they're being turned on and off.
Yeah,
So
okay.
That's
shut them
not
off.
good, that's not good for the condenser.
Okay, so
I
that's-
don't
that's
think
something
so.
we can-
That's just common sense.
Different models, or is that basically?
That was just to grab a picture and give
Because,
you
okay,
guys
because
an
in
idea.
some places they're different.
Yeah.
They're sliding or.
Yeah, that came up today too.
With bigger
The ones with
doors,
Sliding
not
doors,
small.
the ones with doors
Yeah.
that sort of open, so we'll find something that works, but yeah,
So what are you gonna do with the old cooler?
good
They're giving
question.
them to you, Ken, they keep them
That's-
out there.
For your pies, for your pies, for your friend.
Yes.
You make
Well, the other
a
thing they go to
you make a
your house.
nice cooler to put your moose in and you can do something like that.
So the politically correct answer to that is that's a village asset completely under council's control, so you guys decide what happens with the old cooler.
Make the motion.
I make the motion that we purchase one.
Okay, good with one, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Poos Park upgrades, this one probably shift to 2021, 125 grand. And that was for the walking path that was gonna sort of circumnavigate the park. The cost estimate came in at that for 90,000. And then some picnic tables and benches and other stuff, but the one thing there is really, to date, no members of the public have really come to us and said, hey, we'd like to see more at Poos Park. Everybody seems okay with it. So,
But that $125,000 is also from the foundation.
yes, yeah.
It's not
No.
taxpayers' money.
And we've got that all set aside in a
Yeah,
reserve.
but
for-
some
for if-
new people who Scoopy don't know the fact that we got foundation money. And we've been waiting to revamp.
Make the right decision with it for sure, so.
Well, I think if we had picnic tables down there and benches, we might have people going down.
We've actually got tons. We put 10 picnic tables down there as soon as it's able to be used. The bench stand's all up and running again now, so we're probably gonna get the summer students to give it that a coat of paint here this summer. That's something they can tackle. It's low, it's not dangerous.
I'm fine with that, it's foundation money. That's what they asked us to do.
Well, then the decision becomes if we're okay doing it, what are we actually doing? Because prior to this walking path concept coming up, the previous council was talking about building a really big new play structure down there. So you guys would have to sort of decide amongst yourselves, what are we actually building for
Well,
that
the walking
money?
path's a grant.
Nope, I've looked into the grants. The walking path, because it circumnavigates a park and can't be used for commuting or climate change related stuff, there's no grant for it. So really, we already have a grant for it, because the foundation money was a grant, but I see where you're going, your worship, if we're able to, okay, well, that grant, we'll use it for something else, and we'll get these guys to pay for the walking path, and keep going down that rabbit hole, but, and that's why I'm saying, we know we've got it, and it's not going anywhere, the money's set aside in a reserve, it's on the financial statements, everybody's aware of it, so there's no harm in really taking our time and deciding exactly what we wanna do down there.
So maybe we should do a nail drop and just that, ask the residents what they want down there.
Potentially, yeah,
Not buildings, but
Yeah.
do they want kids' play stuff or do they want?
yeah, that'd be awesome. Okay? Does that work?
Does that work for you, Cindy?
Yeah. Okay.
Will that be changed to 2021?
Yeah, so we'll move the big capital dollars into 2021 and we'll do a community survey.
Well, when does community survey go?
We can do that like ASAP, that's just
Okay, so
internal.
why are we moving $125,000 back? If the survey comes back with what people want,
And bring it back,
So-
then we leave that $125,000 in until then.
We could, yeah,
and bring it back to us.
yeah, okay.
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 Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Would you like the survey before the final, do the
Yes.
survey
Yes,
before the
please.
final budget's done, or should we do it?
Well, we don't have the time. So, I mean, we're looking at at
We do
least,
mail drop, it's just a letter.
yeah, then we gotta leave that out there for 2 weeks for people to respond, get them all back, sit down, read that, put a report together for you guys, then I think that's gonna be at some agenda that's 2 weeks apart, we're looking at a month, at least.
Doesn't have to be in the budget though, because it's already there.
We can leave the placeholder in the
Or
budget.
remove it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And
Or
if
want to
it-
move it, and I said, no, no.
If it doesn't work and we decide a month from now after the survey, or, you know, well, let's still hold, we just cancel that line item and it comes off the report.
I think I've walked in back down there, I go down there and walk.
And see, that's part of what you guys gotta, right? Is it play equipment? Is it picnic benches along the riverfront and little day use areas? Is it a walking path? There's a lot of options at Bruce Park and the numbers can climb very quickly.
When I built that playground over there, it was 40,000, so I'm assuming that it's probably 60,000.
Probably try 120 counts.
What? When we were in Quebec, we shopped around on
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Signs for school, signs for crosswalk, things
We,
like that.
we periodically get stuff at the end of the year from the playground manufacturing companies where, hey, we've got this surplus stuff and this playground that was 140,000, we'll let you have it for 120 if you buy it right now. Those playgrounds have gotten ridiculous. They're all, same thing, they're all
They're pretty
engineered,
cool,
safety specs, you know, it's kid proof all of a sudden, even though they're astronomically expensive. Yeah.
Well, I'd make the motion that the village pay me $90,000. I'll go flag every tree in the park to give people options to walk.
I'll go fall the trees.
Are you
too.
hiring?
I'll fall the trees.
Are you hiring, Ken?
Are you certified, Jesse? When we send
You
that out
betcha.
for tender,
You betcha.
make sure to bid because
We need liability for the city.
yeah, that's it. Make sure to bid if you're certified when that goes out there.
So this $50,000 kennel
Yeah.
thing, do we need an issue, do we have an issue for that, or?
So this is one of those things. SPCA hasn't come back to us with a firm number yet. And so the 50,000 is just a number that I'd heard from years ago that was sort of thrown out there from somebody at some point, that if we were gonna have a dedicated kennel space at the SPCA, it would take a $50,000.
Can we rent it out?
We have no idea, your worship. The last email communication I have from the SPCA said that they built the building, and we weren't really allocated a space up front, so they're not sure if they can squeeze us in. They're gonna evaluate it over the next
2022?
so, yeah. And I've kind of put it there, no firm commitment yet to the SPCA, whether or not this is there. We can move it to 2021. If it doesn't, you know, if they don't come back to us this year with a number, we can just keep asking. At some point, we're either gonna get a number or we're gonna get a no. It's not gonna work.
Is that a year?
No, that'd be a one-time, I think. And I don't honestly, Ken, to actually, if I
He
were to
doesn't
answer
have
that
any
question
information,
truthfully, I don't
doesn't
know.
answer the
Yeah. It could be $10,000 a year to keep a kennel. They could come to us and say 50,000. And I think where the sort of genesis of this number was when the SPCA came to us and said they're looking at building a facility. They were trying, similar to what Voltaire's is doing right now, right? We're doing this. Are the municipalities interested in partnering with us? And at some point somewhere throughout that conversation, this number got thrown in.
So can we just leave it there for now, or move it to 21, and we can move it back to the budget if SPCA
Yeah.
comes back with a firm, how much it's gonna actually cost?
Yeah, absolutely.
See, that's brilliant, right? We give him $5,000 to take care of the cats, and then he charges $50,000 to put them in there.
They like to make money.
It'd be more for dogs, I think, than cats, but that's you read could be both. I don't know. Museum, caboose, and walkway. We're about 2/3 of the way through the list, so making good headway here. So this was requested by the curator as well as the museum liaison, and it's to replace the existing plywood sheeting on the caboose. It's in really bad shape, and then remove the sunken patio stones and build a better concrete walking path.
An actual concrete
Yeah.
path, not blocks, cinder blocks.
Yeah, we'd probably look at somebody who does sidewalks and then put a proper path. Or at least that's what the curator wants anyhow.
Can we just pour cement when we go pour that sidewalk over there?
We were told by council, your worship, we weren't to pour any more cement for purposes of the public.
For the purpose of the public, when did this take place?
That took place when council didn't like the aesthetics of the cement we poured in front of the post office.
No, a part of the sidewalk that we're supposed to be putting in. Are we not pouring cement for that? Are the people not pouring cement for that? Can they not do the sidewalk for there?
Oh, yeah, but they won't do it for free, your worship. We can't-
No, I know they
Yeah,
don't do
so-
it for free,
No,
but if we do that other sidewalk,
yeah.
why can't we do those two jobs
Yeah,
together?
Absolutely, so.
The cost of it.
There's no reason, yeah, that anybody coming in couldn't bid on both of those projects, but, yeah. You know, we're still working on that assumption that if it's gonna be, so, you know, the way we interpreted that request from council was that if, you know, we needed to do a concrete patch on a manhole that's underground that nobody's gonna see, we'll go ahead and do that, but if it's
Oh, yeah, no.
visible to the, we're not concrete finishers, we try to do the best we
No,
could.
we saw that, and then somebody got stuck in it in a wheelchair, so no.
Yeah, so. Okay, so you guys okay with both of those, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Stuff. Cover over ice rink,
Sorry, Ken, no.
Councilman Drover.
You know what, out of all the proposals that's down here tonight, that one makes the best sense
Of course it does, because it's got your name back.
Now, I put 10,000 in here, I think if we buy one of these Canadian Tire tarp sheds, it might be 10, but if we go with something a little more industrial, it's not gonna
to
be
me.
10.
Let me just ask you about this now, right? So we got a place where the kids can go sit down and put on their skates, right?
Yeah, there's bleachers and there's a little cabin, like the shack there.
Now, what's in between the bleachers and the ice?
Snow.
Yeah.
What's under the snow?
Gravel.
Grass.
Oh.
Yeah, grass and gravel.
Gravel and grass. So they're beating that crap out of their skates, getting from the bleachers to the ice. Is there any way we
Okay,
can put
Ken, you know
something
those
there?
little things, they're about this long, and they're called protectors.
So what are
Kids.
we
because
can
it's not me
strap
as
them
the
onto
mayor.
the hard hat, the helmet there when you're out
You
for a
pay for
skate?
your kid.
Oh my goodness, people, come on.
We don't
So-
charge fees for our facilities, so no.
The one that came up in the staff meeting, which I didn't think of when I was putting the presentation together, somebody, might have actually been Sam, said, well, we could just put a pole shed type roof over the thing too. That might be an option, definitely not gonna happen for 10,000 bucks either, so.
Right, Jonathan? No.
No,
40 maybe,
yeah,
50?
yeah.
But if you had a roof over it, and you could have some heat, you would make money renting that ice out to people. You would. Look at how much they rent to
We
kids
are a
and
village
stuff.
of food students.
You could be
Over there.
some big
You
box.
could bring money in instead of spending money.
We can buy them, yeah, as far as that, all we can do is buy a small piece of pie, yeah, no.
Well, I'll take the pie.
Yeah.
So what do we think? Is covering it over even a remote possibility?
No, it's free.
No,
Hard no?
no.
Ken?
Sorry, Ken.
You people have no vision.
And you can't, you can't see the kids and you had a roof over it. Nice try. You can't see the little monkeys.
I got a vision of a back truck parked down in the public works yard. So what we're thinking of for the back truck is something along the lines of this. Definitely not the big tandem axle.
Is that a forward car?
It will be if we buy it. So 35,000 in there. No, we're certainly not going to buy a new unit for 35 grand, but we're thinking one of two things. Could look at a used unit or also consider a skid for the back of the F550 dump truck. As it stands right now, we spend anywhere between 10 to 15,000 a year, pretty much every year on back truck services. It's between 190 and 220 bucks an hour. Anytime we have to excavate anything that's even remotely close to a water line, sewer line, gas line, we get it backed out so that we don't inadvertently whack the line and make the head. So,
But we don't have to pay for the insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our public works guys gonna have
No,
time
I
to be
would
actually be able to do that, because, you know, they can't paint. There's things that they can't do. So I'm pretty not sure that, I think the skid would be a little better for the dump truck than the natural pump.
yeah. The way where I got that number of 35 was a couple of months ago, when Blair and I were looking at this, there was actually an old, well, not an old, Dodge 4500 quad cab with the back truck unit, 200,000 kilometers on it. They were asking 33 grand.
Is there?
$200,000 of motor's gone in it.
Excuse my ignorance,
What
but
year is
is there a difference between a back truck and a hydrovac?
Certainly.
Could you use a back truck where you would want to use a hydrovac?
No.
No, I didn't think so. Yes, we should.
Zwix has got a trailered unit, hey, a hydrovac unit, so that way you don't have an engine to maintain, and that would probably be wise.
We used to have one, from what I understand, too, and it was sold and contracted back to the village.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened. Before my time.
So would you guys be okay with us looking at a skid then?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we should push this one to 2021 as well. And
For what purpose, Chris?
well, to cut down on this stuff.
How much is a skid?
But that's
Well,
a
that's
hydrovac, right? That's not a vac truck.
Well,
That's, you're two different beasts.
Well, okay, then maybe that's my mistake in the terminology. What we're looking for is a unit that'll excavate ground in place of using the backhoe or an excavator for sensitive areas. So if I've got the terminology wrong there, then that's on me, but that's
hydrovac.
Yeah, okay,
You have a hydrovac, you have an air vac,
Yeah.
or you have a hand digging.
okay. Okay, so we'd probably be looking at hydrovac. Yeah, compact hydrovac unit to get us doing those holes
So
instead.
there's a trailer, Jonathan said there's a type of a trailer there.
Yeah, so that's it. So if
So
you
we
guys
don't
are
have
okay
to
with
run
us,
a dump truck, we
investigating
need that
that,
for snow removal,
Yeah.
so we don't want to skid in the back of the dump truck.
most
So
of the
think about a
hydrovac
trailer.
stuff happens in the summer anyways, when we're doing the maintenance. So,
The hydrants.
yeah. Yeah. But if you guys are okay with us looking at it, then we'll come back with some options and see if it's even feasible.
Yeah.
Okay. Pave elevator road.
$500,000! Yeah, I could go on
Minimum.
GoFundMe.
Minimum. We'd be lucky to get to the end of Mr. Simmons' subdivision for that amount of money.
158.
Not to the quotes Peters Brothers gave us.
Peter Brothers gave us a quote already.
It's funny because I've had a conversation with Lloyd
That's just
too,
for the
and
tape, the paint.
his quote was 10 more than $150,000 to me.
It's right to the village of Pooh Scoopy on the quote that I got. Says stamped and approved. Well, not stamped and approved.
160 to do half of it, and 400,000 to do the whole thing. And
But
that's
that's not compacting it down.
That's
Sorry.
applying.
That's just putting the pavement on top.
No, that's applying 150 millimeters of crush, packing it, and the pavement. That's not going to include excavating the whole road, like
Which
you're trying to say.
which it needs to be, that's our truck route. So if we build that to a residential standard, it's gonna fall apart twice as fast as 57th and R2.
Then we have to build it as a truck route.
So who do we contact to find out how much it costs for a truck route versus how much it costs to do?
That's an engineering conversation through and through. And certainly, you know, we can go to Peter Brothers and say, pay it for the cheapest possible way, get it done. Okay, is that gonna,
Can't apply it. 2
Yeah,
years.
but trucks have been driving on that road for 70 years.
Yeah.
It's in fine shape. Like, I don't understand
we all know
why.
that, John. And we
What's
can't spend $400,000 of taxpayer money because Peter Brothers says, oh, we can just throw 2 inches on it, it should be fine. If we're gonna build a road, it's gonna get engineered, you guys are gonna get presented a document that says, here's my engineering stamp, and I say, these are the criteria that needs to be built to, and you guys decide whether or not you build it to that criteria.
But it's not really a truck route because of that angle it sits on.
I wasn't told I was building in an industrial neighborhood. I thought it was residential.
And I didn't, like, did we get all the roads here engineered? Because if we did, then
No,
whoever
it's
the
a
engineer.
standard bylaw. It's a 75 millimeter residential mix.
No, I'm just talking about everywhere else though, because we keep patching, we keep patching.
I don't know, I've been here 3.5 years, I can't speak to how that stuff is done. 15,
I do know that
20
that road, when my Peter Brothers was talking, like I talked to the guy that manages it,
Yeah.
he gave me quotes.
Is that Wade?
He was looking, sorry?
Was that
Wade, yeah. Wade, and he was saying that he's all for it, he thinks it's an easy job because of the ground. Like, it's not like a new road that hasn't settled or anything like that, it's years and years of use.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of
Yeah.
spots, he said, that you would have to build up and make sure that we're good, but that road itself would,
Yeah.
it's been tried and tested.
And so that, I mean, what they're saying is a possibility. I mean, Wade's definitely in the paving space, but like I say, I had that conversation with him too, and the number I got was $1 million.
Two different people.
Can I get you to forward that email
Yeah,
to
I
you?
actually thought I did, but maybe I didn't.
Forward it to me to Jesse.
And that's all we're asking, because I know, like, I mean, the last council, I mean, they already paved part of elevator up to the first corner. That was servicing, what, 5 houses? So we're asking for the same stretch that's servicing 30 houses. So I mean, and the only spot that had to be repaved on that first spot on elevator was when they dug a sewer trench across the road, and that's what actually settled, what they repaved. It wasn't the integrity of the whole road. So.
Yeah, that road's been holding up great.
And I mean, you've got 60,000 in your
The only concern
paving.
I have, Jonathan, is the
Yeah.
fact that when you be bringing your trusses over, when you be bringing your wood over, when you be bringing everything for your development, is that gonna tear up the pavement?
No
Are you
more
gonna
than-
take the part where the gravel is, there's no gravel?
So
That is my concern. If you go and put the pavement down, you're gonna start developing again, you're gonna have your big trucks pull in there, you're gonna have your hose pulling in there. That's weight on that pavement. Is it gonna wreck that road?
Okay, it's no different than in town. You don't think there's hose and trusses and trucks that went through the whole of 17th for it. I mean, it's engineered for that.
I realize that,
Yeah.
but it's not paved right now. It's not paved, you're still doing your development. Once your development's done, then you get pavement. Wouldn't that make sense? Or do you wait, pave it, you do your development, then pave it when you're done doing your development?
Well, my whole cul-de-sac road is paved. I mean, I didn't wait till I'm done. I'd never sell a house if I didn't pave. That's the problem. It's a deterrent to fill any of that up because people think the village is never gonna pave it, right? So they're like, well, we'll wait till they pave and then maybe we'll build in there, right? So I mean, do I think it's gonna get tore up? Well, no, I don't. Because I mean, all of town has paved roads and
I
residential
know that.
areas.
You heard Councilor Smith this morning, or this first part of the meeting,
Yeah.
stating about 57th Avenue,
Yeah.
the big trucks using that, and she
Yeah.
was concerned about the pavement on
Yeah.
that. So now, is this gonna be the same issue?
So that 57th, when 57th was paved, it was supposed to last 15 years. We barely got 7 out of it because of just a few instances of traffic being rerouted up there and one guy on that street with an empty wellhead.
Yeah.
So when you pave it to the wrong standard,
Well, all I'm saying is my cul-de-sac was paved to residential standards. I've
Yeah,
had
you're calling, yeah.
pump
But
trucks in there. I've
the
had.
ministry deemed that to be the truck route, right? The
Yeah.
ministry did. We didn't,
Yeah,
the ministry did.
yeah.
There's the problem there.
So then they should help pay for the pavement.
Well, I did bring that up.
Right?
We tried to get them
Because
there.
they're utilizing it.
Yeah.
Like all of Poos uses that road.
It's
not
brought
just-
it up to them when we were in Vancouver.
Yeah.
So the other piece that hasn't really been discussed yet is John's brought up an interesting point. That's sort of residential. It's truck route. You guys are under no requirement to keep that as the
As a
truck
truck
route. Right? There's nothing. It's your street. So similar to 57th, we've got the ability to say to the ministry, when an accident happens on Jabs, no, you're not rerouting everything on the highway up 57th for 4 hours, to our cost and detriment. That's just the way it is. So you guys can absolutely make that call if you want to. Can it turn into a logistical nightmare? Maybe.
Yes, it could, because if someone has an accident here, and someone has an accident out there, and we don't let people go through that road, yeah, no, that isn't even hard.
If we zone 57, a residential street, not a whatever,
Yeah.
can they drive big trucks and park them there for the night?
No,
Okay.
not supposed to turn big trucks in anywhere in the village.
So that, according to Eric or Josh, they're supposed
So
to.
you're gonna stop, okay, I'm just gonna be the devil's advocate here. So you're gonna stop a business owner from buying a house in Pooskoopi who pays tax, pays water, pays all the infrastructure costs, and you're gonna get upset with him for parking his truck out front
I'm not your worship.
of
that's a decision you
his
make.
house, even though he's paying every single bill in the village of Pooskoopi.
And a million years of his taxes won't cover a single repave of that road.
Yeah, but we used to have 10-ton limit too on the roads, right?
And that's not my decision, your worship. That's absolutely up to you guys. Council has to decide what the use standard is on that street. Administration doesn't.
So we
can
have
come
to tell the guy he has to sell his truck or.
I come to you guys and say, this street's deteriorating twice as fast as it should be, here's the reason.
So-
Decision's in your hands.
So what do we do, buy the land from the railway CN and turn that into a truck parking lot for the big truck owners that have houses in here in Kuskokwim? Is that it? That guy,
I'm just asking that because
Yeah.
we're both,
Yeah, and your worship, I'm saying that this is the reason it's happening. If you guys are okay with that, it stays as is, and we just up the planning stage and we plan to repave that street or those streets twice as fast as any.
why don't we turn and do it properly,
It-
right? Why wasn't it done properly?
I have no idea, your worship.
So that truck could be parked there. If council knew at the time that truck was parked there at the time, they should have taken the time and to make sure that truck was parked, it could be able to be parked there and not wreck the pavement.
It's possible that guy bought that house after the fact too, we don't know. That was done years ago. So, and that's, you know, that's kind of the issue. If we're gonna make a big expensive decision like that, we have to absolutely know what we're getting into.
So can we pave there so that Jonathan won't wreck the pavement if we do it as a residential? Like, is there an option?
The option's entirely yours. You guys can pave, repave, tear the pavement up on any street in town that you want. That's happened.
Just- It's all about livelihood right now, and it's all about us trying to save money, and it's all about people's livelihood, like us finding a guy for parking his big truck on our road.
Yep.
That's his livelihood.
That's not an easy decision,
It's
right? It wouldn't be the first time I've come across it. I ran into this situation in a previous municipality where council faced the same issue. People with logging trucks and then 5-ton welding trucks and those service trucks for the oil patch were just blowing the streets apart. Council said enough, we're not paving this stuff every 5 years anymore, and they banned all the trucks. That exact issue that you just spoke to arose. So a couple of weeks later, there was a delegation of 20 people in the council chambers. You just destroyed my livelihood. I park my service truck in my driveway every night. What am I supposed to do? So the council then made another knee-jerk reaction. No, we got this unused park space over here. We'll allocate that. Well, that turned into 6 months later a tarp shed shanty town with trucks being repaired and oil being dumped on the ground, and it was one knee-jerk reaction after the other. If we're talking about spending $400,000 minimum, let's say, we need to make sure that's the right decision
Yeah, oh,
now,
definitely.
so that a couple of years down the road, you know, John doesn't.
we don't have a 57th Street.
We don't have a guy with a 5-ton service truck that buys one of John's houses and blowing that street park.
Well, the first part of elevator is when guys parking their trucks, big trucks there for 5 years. When did that first part elevator get paved? 6, 7 years ago? It's a truck route. I mean, there was no worries about that. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that it falls apart if the base is shit, pardon my French, but I mean, that road's been packed down with trucks for 50 years. Like, that base is compacted as you'll ever find a road. So
why don't we, folks, instead of putting this here, we put, I don't know, $5,000 or $10,000 to have it studied, right? Have somebody come in and talk to you guys and say, what's the standard you want that road done to? Is it residential? Is it industrial? And if it's industrial, here, we're gonna take some measurements, we're gonna do some soil samples, find out if the base is good, and then we decide from there whether or not it's, you know, 500 or $1 million or some
If
other
it's the same
number.
engineers that work for the Ministry of Transportation, I don't want them near the streets.
That wouldn't be ministry engineers, we'd have to hire a consulting company to do that.
But it's a truck route, do we have to involve the ministry?
Nope, it's your street.
It's our street. I know it's our street, but they're Barb.
I think that if we do soil samples, that needs to be done all the way down. Because coming back from the railway tracks could be different all the way along.
That's a good point, Councilor Smith, you could be very right. The traffic's going up to and including.
I lived up there, yeah, so it was kind of.
Do we have to pave the whole road?
There was a quote for 158 to do the subdivision.
Oh, just past.
Just to the cul-de-sac
Just cul-de-sac, yes.
But that doesn't give you pay.
Well, I would, I mean, I'm sure everybody
The new
would
place,
eventually,
yeah.
but I'm saying if it can't all be done at once, then whatever.
Yeah, we would break it up and
I'm just saying that
do it in
it's-
sections,
Yeah.
for sure. But
I think
that,
that would be a
again,
better thing than paving the whole thing.
but that, yeah.
Make a motion that we'll pass it on the floor.
Well,
Hi,
we have some extraordinary expenses coming up this year. Potentially, we have 800,000 to 1.2 million hit coming.
Yeah.
And in lieu of the current economic state that we find ourselves in, do we want to commit ourselves to this kind of money at this point in time, knowing that there's probably going to be a huge chunk coming out of our coffers here?
Jesse, did you send that email to me?
Nope, what is your email?
Michaeli@shaw.ca. MICHETTI.
So I think the gist of that conversation, folks, is certainly no issue if it's something you guys want to see done. The question is, to what standard and what's that number going to look like? And I have no idea.
And there's no other road in the village that needs to be paved.
Like I say, the only one that came up this morning, Ken, in the staff meeting was from the Director of Public Works, and he said the pavement in front of the school is starting to crack pretty bad. We did have that crack sealed as part of the crack sealing project a few years ago, so we tried to limp it along, but it was, even the crack sealing guys, I remember talking to the lead hand, you know, on that project. I was kind of with him every day, and he said, yeah, we're gonna patch this up, it's not gonna last.
You know, we're getting some new information coming in here, you know, that we can consider. We have options. I really don't think we'd be doing a service to this issue if we made a decision tonight.
No, but we can keep it there.
I'm sure we can keep
Yeah,
that
so we
right
can move
now.
on.
Yeah.
Good.
We're not asking for a decision, we're just asking to start, can we start thinking about this?
Absolutely.
In 5 years, like, you know?
So the first step to thinking about it, guys, is figuring out what we're actually gonna be paving on, if we decide to do it. So we've gotta have some type of compaction
No,
study.
tonight we,
Sorry?
tonight we have to?
Well, that, I mean,
We just leave the $500,000 in there, do the.
but that's not directing administration to go ahead and see what we're building on. I need a line in there that says,
Well, we don't
here's,
know if we're building this year.
We don't know.
so,
We have to do our
but
due
that's,
diligence first.
yeah, but that's it, your worship, there's no money to do any due diligence. This project, if council just leaves it as is, I've got no authority to investigate how that looks to be paid.
So do some investigation.
Well,
Not for $500,000.
that's gonna be
Just-
urban systems coming down.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, they love it.
Just take a phone call to somebody.
It is.
Why do we have to do a traffic study?
There you go, they've done it.
They've done it. But that's what that.
Ken, if I could real quick, my only concern was, like, if we're gonna look at doing elevator, like, can't we push, you're putting 60,000 a year into roads that are already paved, well, hey, guess what, we don't have any pavement, so can't we push some of the repair budgets and save that up for a couple years and then maybe do a portion of it, cause I mean,
Well, and even Peter's brothers, like these guys, he sounded very willing, because he's a community member too. He was very
I
willing.
know Wade very well.
He was, I'm sure they'd be willing to help patch where we've had to dig up sewers and stuff like that. Come over and quickly do. We've got the equipment here. I'm sure there's a way we can work this for that kind of money, that they'd help us out, help the village out. The community, you know, something we could definitely talk about. This was done, I'd have to check the date on the quote, but this was done a while ago because I know you had dealt with.
he's
previous
quoted it
council.
probably like 6 or 7 times.
Well, you've done the
yeah.
previous council, you've been dealing with this for years and
Did he get married?
it's been a while.
I don't know,
No clue.
So,
anyway.
and it's. the
It's
other-
something that's been getting dealt with for a while, so sorry, man.
Yeah, no, it's okay, just the other issue with a project like that, we're required by law to tender it out to. So if Peter Brothers has given us a quote, we have to come up with some type of standards and say, here's what we want. So we're looking for however many inches of subgrade, this many inches of pavement, this wide, and quote.
We're always cheaper than DGS every time, so.
Yeah, I agree, they've
doesn't
been our,
matter.
yeah, they've been our winning bidder the last 3 years, John, yeah, for sure. But that doesn't absolve me of the requirement to have to do that.
They do.
Yeah.
Chris, they have their assessment already on that.
The village 4.8 kilometer gravel roads make up a significant portion of the municipality roadways infrastructure. While these roads typically have useful life of 15 years, they would not typically be replaced in kind. So, but would instead be upgraded to an asphalt surface. As such, it is difficult to predict replacement timeline since maintenance and upkeep are the most prominent concerns. The unpaved roadway infrastructure can be summarized as followed.
So right there, that tells us that they're guessing, they have no idea whether or not the surface underneath is okay to pave on.
And that's
We
after
think
they
it
did the
is.
study.
We think it is, nobody's actually gone there and done core samples in that road to see if it's, I'm sure it is too, to be honest with you. But, guys, we can't take on a project like that without doing our due diligence on it.
But I'm sure they've already done that.
There's been no direction.
Does Peter Brothers not have a quality control component to their?
Yeah, they do. They have all that. They can tell us if it is or isn't. And
They need more roads than urban systems.
You know what, we work with urban systems, right? They're top-notch group. I'm just trying to save money, I'm not saying anything negative about urban systems.
No.
I'm just trying to say this.
it does cost a lot of money to have.
In my experience, Ken, saving money is usually a function of the amount of planning you put in up front and making sure you're doing the right thing the first time, and you don't end up with 50 cents. To the mayor's point, had anybody asked, you know, hey, could this possibly be our diversion route for the ministry in traffic? Yes, okay, that should have been paid like that. So somebody came along and made the decision, oh, geez, quick quote, let's get this done this year, and we paid it. And now we realize, oops, that wasn't done the right way, and we're dealing with the aftermath of it. If we make that same decision here, we're repeating the mistakes.
And I think that's why we're saying let's consider this, but not commit ourselves
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
I would think, folks, similar to the sidewalk study that we had done, to have somebody come in and do all the measurements, do some sampling, figure out what's under there, and then put together a design plan that says, okay, under this type of load, if we want to limit it to residential, you need this much base, this much pavement, and here's a plan that says, okay, you know, you have 2 or 3 options, that $10,000 will probably get that done, similar to the sidewalk study.
Do you have a relative that works at urban systems?
New literally. Something like that doesn't have to be urban too, but.
Okay, so we'll leave it there for now.
Leave it there, but,
Can,
Don't use it right now.
yeah.
well,
We've got all the,
can we add a line item to do a feasibility study, let's call it, for paving Elevator Road then? I guess. Yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Why don't you include that into the cost of the bid? Pave.
So they have to have urban systems.
They have to do the homework behind.
How can you evaluate what is required and, okay, but the final cost, a quote, I don't know. Am I,
You can't, they'll go and drill that road, and they'll say, oh no, today's standards, you'll need to add 2 feet more gravel, and it'll be 10 times over engineered, and then it'll never get paved because it'll be $2 million. So I mean, I think it'll be, I don't know what the solution is, other than, that's what'll happen, guaranteed. That's what always happens. I mean, I think, talk to the paving companies. They have the most knowledge as to what holds up. They don't want to come back on warranty and repave it if it settles. They'll tell you right away.
would the ministry have any stats? The Ministry of Highways?
It's our road.
For, because it is a truck road, and that's what,
I think we should go after the ministry if we're gonna keep that as truck route.
The first thing the ministry is gonna ask us is, well, what base are we building on?
You
No
see-
idea. We
you
haven't
see,
had
Chris,
anybody look at it.
What you're, I don't disagree with what you're saying. But we don't know how far we want to go.
Yep.
Right?
And that's what I mean. How do we issue a tender with all of those unknowns?
Or how do we ask someone to come over and inspect the area if we don't have an idea as to which area we want inspected?
So somebody with some professional credentials, you know, council can say to them, we're considering paving Elevator. It's our truck route. We want you to go out there and evaluate the base, determine what's under it, and then come back to us with a
No,
proposal.
the first step is for us to determine whether or not we're going to pave it. And if we are, how far are we going to pave it?
Yep, exactly.
Right? But we're not there yet.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it,
Okay.
but not right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Totally
Um,
different now.
Okay, so, it's remember again, sorry guys, I don't know what's going on with this, but I had this issue, oh my god.
So then the next one is stand-up desks at the village office.
Yeah, hang on one sec. Got a really nice slide.
Is that every computer changed to a stand-up or just one?
We want to test them out, Barb.
It might be worth giving Peterborough a call too, before you go too far down the road of hiring this person, that person to come inspect. Maybe just talk to the guys that did go out there that are the pavers. Maybe they give you a little bit more advice, because there's quite a bit of info on these quotes, and you might get a little bit more info out of him.
Okay. Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
I'm gonna cut out, not to be
Yeah, we don't need to
selfish,
be-
not to be selfish, to only stay till that part.
Oh, you get to go to bed, then
Yeah.
you're back.
I gotta get up early, so.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thanks
your
for coming up
time.
with us.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah.
thanks, Chris.
Thanks for coming.
Not everybody
Appreciate
wants
your
them.
input.
Yeah.
It's, and today in the staff meeting, Chris brought up maybe just buying one or two to try them and see who likes them.
$10,000.
It's not
No.
$10,000.
No, that's if we do every desk in the village. I don't think, Blair told us this morning, he doesn't want one.
Are your chairs not ergonomic, adjustable chairs?
They are, but as soon as I get my slide up, I spend a lot of time on this thing, and it sucks that I can't.
It's Chris at his computer.
There we go!
That's how he sits.
Sit like that.
I made him get bigger monitors and he still sits like that.
So-
He needs glasses.
Here's what ends up,
Glasses.
here's what ends up happening.
Far away though.
That, and then the solution is this. So these things are kind of a newfangled idea that raise everything up so that you're actually, and you get to stand up. I mean, it's not uncommon, guys, for me to spend 3.5 hours behind my desk, not getting up from my chair, glued to the screen. Sandy, same thing. She's putting the agenda together, it's like 2 days.
Well, but
Lorraine, the tax time, 8 to 8.
Yeah, right?
For $10,000 desk.
So, no, it's not a
Neither am I.
$10,000 desk. It's however many of something similar to that. And what we decided sort of internally is the budget number is in case it happens to every desk. Sandy and I'd like to try one each and see how it actually works.
Would we be obligated, if it works out well, that we change everybody's to stand-up?
No, not at all. Right, so Skylar's workstation, for example, she says she's not interested in one of these. Well, okay.
I don't think.
But did they have to sign a waiver?
Yeah.
Like, did they have to sign that?
No, it's an ergonomics thing. It's a safety, well, it'd be a long safety issue, would it not?
And can you?
Or not safety, but health.
It's a.
Well, there should be a health
more
grant then.
Physical activity.
Yeah.
If it's a health issue,
And
then
they
there
have a
should be a
little
grant for it.
treadmill going underneath, and
Because they do have.
or the bouncy ball.
Yeah. We would need council to approve the budget line item before we could apply for a grant.
I make that motion, if we can get a grant.
Because they just said it's a health issue. There's health grants out
Yeah.
there.
It is, yeah. Believe it or not, there's actually a couple of sort of WCB related items for office staff, and it's repetitive stress injuries. It's wrists, it's fingers from typing, and it's neck
It's a
stress.
2020 too.
Yeah, right, so, it.
Okay.
Yeah. You guys are okay with it? Okay.
The,
As long as you apply for the grant.
is there, are we saying we're gonna put money into the budget to buy this, or that there's money in the budget to buy this, so we're just letting you know?
Yeah.
Where are we at?
Both. So
You're giving us permission to go and buy one or
to
two,
go ahead, yeah,
to try it.
up
I thought
to,
you were gonna go check for grants first.
the budget the line item has to be approved by
Yes.
council. We
So
were-
the line item is in there, but you're not spending it because we're gonna get a grant.
then we can't do it.
Why?
The budget grants aren't awarded on a contingent budget program. If I tell the grant agency that this project is approved on the condition you guys pay me a grant, the grant agency declines it. Every grant is like that. That's, yeah. council has to be committed to the cost before the grant date. We still could get declined, but council
Can you
has
bring
to
it back to council if you don't get the grant?
Find out what they cost.
I think it'd be a lot cheaper to put your desk on bricks. Raise your desk.
Well, we're gonna take that sidewalk out.
There you go.
Then we'd have to fix the floor.
Okay.
Okay, side by side, total wish list project or acquisition from the Director of Public Works. We think probably around 20,000 to outfit something similar to this cab, four-wheel drive snow blade to do the roads. Blair says that it'll be useful for lagoon inspections, park work, plowing, and then also fire services.
And where will this thing sit?
Public Works.
Where?
There's no room for it in the fire hall, so
Where at Public Works?
in the inside of the shop.
I was in there. It's pretty tight.
It is pretty tight.
Isn't there already a vehicle? No?
No, not a side by side or an ATV or something like that.
Really?
We had one of these with the district of Tumbler Ridge and it got used tons. All of the parks maintenance people zip
Well, yeah,
around town and
I
pick up all.
Can you put a mower in that?
Yeah.
No,
But can we
no,
get-
can't do a
But because
mower.
it's a quad, don't you have to require a license for it?
Just put a plate on it.
To drive through town?
I say yes, let's go.
Okay, we actually thought that one was gonna be.
You strategically placed it right.
Volteri's house donation, 50,000 pre-approved, suggested by Councillor Smith, and that's for the donation to capital construction for Volteri's house.
How much have we already given?
$1,000.
And we're going to get $5,000 through NELF.
Yep.
It's,
There's an acronym now.
yes.
The community foundations, that money we tried to pull out last year from that big grant program, the board members ended up finding a sort of
So we get
clause.
5, that's 6. So we will donate $3,000, I'll give it $10,000.
Okay, so motion to change this from 50.
Well, hold on, no, we're not done discussion yet before.
Okay,
That's my take on it.
So even if you add 6 and you want to add 3, that's 9.
Or 10, 4, sorry.
Okay.
10. It's not a problem.
Where did the 50,000 come from?
That's what we had in our budget. They wanted $50,000 for a donation per room. Then you can have it as your, like the Poo Scoopy room or whatever. But it's over 10 years. It's not all at once. And I think that's where the 50,000 came in as on that one.
That's a lot of money for a room.
You get furniture, towels.
Yeah, I know. I could buy a lot of really nice furniture for
50
grand. Couldn't you?
They're trying to raise money to pay for the structure and
I
also
know.
paying for the upkeep, the steady sustainability. So, like,
Kind of
just
just
like
built one in Fort St. John. It just opened up today. They got $586 million for, what is it, First Nations?
First Nations Health Authority?
Yeah,
Yeah.
586 million was it? Or 565 million?
Oh, the funding from last year, yeah, somewhere north of
60 million
500,
from BC.
according to the financial statements.
And we can't even get Vulture House any donation.
Dawson Creek hasn't contributed anything.
How's
What's that
Chapman?
right now?
Yes, and Tumbler Ridge, they've got, they're knitting, whatever, they had at Christmas time, you rented tables and all that came to Boltry House.
How much is Chetwynd donated, do you know?
No, but they're going to, Chetwynd is going to donate all the Wi-Fi and computers, like Wi-Fi and a laptop for each room so they can communicate with their family. I know he's verbally said that. I don't know about money off my head, but computers.
This is a totally discretionary item, you guys, and it's just 50 because that's the number that's been thrown around up to this point. It can be that, it can be something less, it can be something more. It's entirely in your ballpark to decide. what you
Year by
think.
year,
Yeah.
whatever.
Or, yeah, that's another option too. We can
We
take
can give
this.
them $10,000 every year.
I guess the question there, your worship, is that soften the blow to us, or does it just spread it out?
Spreads it out. I don't wanna do a lump sum of 50 grand.
Well, I agree, I don't want to do it, so.
Okay.
10 grand a year is fine.
Yeah.
Even 5.
Well, they've got
Every-
6 now.
Okay, if you bring it, maybe for the start 10 and next year 5, I don't know.
Well, whatever they make on that thing.
Can be any amount you guys want. I guess maybe the question for you, Barb, as the liaison, if the donation from council is structured as an annual thing, it's likely to make its way to operations. If they're looking for capital funding to build the building, and the build is set to be done in 18 months or whatever, $10,000 5 years from now is not going to accomplish that objective.
Yes.
Well, they've gotten something lately, because I always know when they're building on it at the store. So
Yeah.
they stop for a while, and now they're building again.
Yeah, okay. That's what it is, sort of.
My
I-
manager lives 2 doors down.
Hmm?
My manager lives 2 doors down.
Well, I mean, I can tell from when they come into the store.
Yeah, this is one I can't really guide you on, folks. It's whatever you guys think.
Yeah, I just don't understand how they're going to keep going. I mean, they just seem to be struggling to complete this project, let alone have it run.
Been running, man.
Well, no,
And then,
First Nations Health Authority is supposed to be putting money in too, are they not?
Yeah, nothing's done.
Nothing's been in concrete, but they did say that they would put money in.
Sorry, go ahead, Barb.
I think the 2 First Nations, Soto and Moberly Lake, have committed 20,000 each already. And I know they were talking to the municipality of Fort Nelson too.
So we have $6,000 now, am I understanding correct?
You guys agreed with $1,000 in December for Poultry's House. Then we decided that $5,000 was also discussed in December. So that $5,000 that from Sioux County, whatever it's called, NELF or whatever,
oh, right.
you guys delegated to whatever money that she got out of it could go to the Poultry's House. All I want to do is top it up to 10 grand and be done.
Let's do it.
That's all I want to do.
Okay.
So there's 6 already going to it.
And we're doing another 4,000.
Then we do another
Why?
4, but that was 15 minutes.
The whole purpose of this is to raise funds for the Poultry House.
No, it's a South Peace, Peace River Health Council, South Peace Health Council, which consists of Tumbler Ridge, Chetland, Dawson Creek, Poo-Scoopy, Fort Nelson, who else, Barb? Who did I forget? Not Fort Nelson, not the Rockies, but anybody that sits on the board. Fort St. John, so anybody that sits on the regional district board.
So this is not for the Poultry House?
This is for the Poultry House.
Oh, so
It's
now-
South Peace Health Council.
And area directors.
And their directors, they all contribute to this.
Yeah.
And we all have built this poultry house.
Listen, why don't you consider 10 grand is, I think that's very generous for Poo-Scoopy,
It is.
right?
Super generous.
This is super generous, whatever, but it's for an excellent cause, right? This is healthcare and taking care of, you don't have to sell me on the idea. But what I think we could do is say we will donate up to a maximum of $10,000. Only that we will match private contributions dollar for dollar up to the amount of $10,000.
Well, that's a good idea.
Like that.
Okay, but they've
Yeah.
already got 5. Or 6, sorry, 6. They've already got the 6.
Well,
So do you want to do it up to the 6? What do you want to do up to the 10? Do you want to do it up to, what do you want?
Well, this is Barb's baby. But,
Well, let's
so,
kind of,
so say we have $4,000 then, discretionary money, right? If the 6,000 is already allocated. We will match up to $4,000 any
And we
donation.
challenge all
Sure.
municipalities.
Work with it,
I
work
like
with
that.
it, have fun with it.
For our next.
Create
report.
awareness
Yes.
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we're going to give the money, let's encourage others to donate too.
Okay, so we will give them $6,000 plus $4,000 will be, so you got this one.
Up to 4,000.
Up to 4,000 is a challenge for any municipalities to match it.
City of Dawson Creek to match it.
God, there's a really have
Do you want a municipality to match or business to match?
Match, businesses, municipalities, whoever would like to.
Private donations, whoever.
Yep.
You're over there laughing in the corner.
I just with the prospect of DC matching anything these days is.
No.
And can we maybe add a quick line to that, folks, that we do it twice a year? Because in order to do matching, I'm gonna need some paperwork back from the Volterres to tell me how much they've received. So if we plan to do the first matching piece, let's say in June, you know, at the end of Q2, and then if we're not fully utilized for 4,000, we do the last one in December. Otherwise, I gotta wait until December, because then I need a full calendar year's report from Volterres to say how much.
Yeah.
January 1st to December 31st, we've received this much from the public, so who owes this, right?
I will bring you a financial thing that I.
So this isn't
Can you
Chapman.
just call Shaylee and know exactly the questions that you're gonna answer?
No, if this is going out as a motion that we're matching, your worship, we need to demonstrate to the public that we're matching something. So I can't do it by phone call. We gotta have paperwork submitted to the village.
But she can't email you that stuff?
Yeah, she could.
Yeah, so.
Can we challenge for January 1st, 2020 to June 30th?
What I'm actually saying with that, folks, I don't want to get into a situation where council puts this open-ended matching out there. Volterres House gets $15, $20 donated from 100 different people. And that happens every 2 days, and now I'm writing checks to this organization every week.
Yeah,
No, they get a check July 1st.
Yeah.
We will present it
They'll
at
have
July
to be-
1st
Yeah.
to the Poultry House. So we want it in by May 1st.
Okay, so we'll match up to $4,000, any public donations or any donations received up to May 31st.
Yeah, and then the
Okay,
second one would be at the Christmas.
Yeah, but if you got mom and pop going over and giving $20, that's not in with our competition here.
And also NELF is taking donations for Poultry House there because they can provide receipts for nonprofit organizations. They're taking donations. So Sue Kenny also can tell you how much has been January 1st to whatever.
So we'll do it to May 1st, is that okay?
As
Or
long-
May 31st?
Yeah,
And
as long as it's structured some way like that, your worship, that it's not, okay, you know, Sue sends me an email every Friday, oh, we got $100, so just send me another check this week.
No.
So it's in
You
partnership with
could-
the village of.
Just a minute. You can write the $1,000 check, right? Or you already wrote the 1,000?
Yeah, that's done, yeah.
Okay, so they've already got $6,000 for 2019.
The check is gonna come here and you're gonna present it to Poultry House.
For the
5,000 for NELF.
Okay, but it's allocated.
Yeah.
It's allocated there.
Yeah.
So the 4,000 is for 2020.
Yeah, correct. Okay, so we look at doing end of May and then maybe end of November? and
Well,
then-
whenever we have our tree light up, right?
Yeah.
We want to present them with the check out.
Yeah, let's do May and November then, your worship, and then we're not running into calendar year allocation issues and stuff either.
Because
so-
you guys are too busy trying to get one done.
Yeah, okay. Does that work, guys? May and November?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
But so long as we're only matching
4,000
donations
for
in
2,000.
conjunction with the village, right?
yeah. Okay, cool. Skate park landscaping, I think this is a given, but it's on there nevertheless, and this is just the
Yeah.
last little
We're
bit,
good.
so.
Yeah.
Okay, you're good.
Beautification.
Beautification, this.
We've never done anything like
No,
this.
Well, Okay. And yeah, very good. Fireworks
I
bylaw.
thought we were gonna get the Rangers or something involved in this
In which,
beautification.
same thing. The Rangers involved in doing what? And that's what we've struggled with this over the last couple of years, Your Worship. We've had it every year, and it's always been titled beautification, and it's just sort of been.
Well, we need signage, fix the signages, signs and stuff like that we can worry about.
Yeah. So I think,
Our street signs could look nice.
Yeah, and maybe straight. They like to go into the Hartford and come back, so.
alright, well, we can push that off, nothing there, I don't think is mission critical in a potentially really expensive year otherwise too, so.
Okay, public works bylaw?
Fireworks bylaw.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
so this is an example of one that we're gonna write internally. Sam's spoken to us, he is willing, capable, and he feels he's knowledgeable enough to write that using other pieces. The little bit of money here is to maybe just run it through legal if we think we need to at the end in order to make sure that it fits with the provincial legislation.
I'd like to ask, throw this out here for council to consider. It's been a bit of a trend this past couple of years for autistic children, that the fireworks are without noise. They're a beautiful display, but they don't have the noise. And that would, it would show our sensitivity to the autistic people of the community. And to be honest, I don't know if we have any, and if we do, how many, but it would also be good for the animals.
Yes, because there's always complaints.
Just a note, I had fireworks the other night, just behind my place. There's no use calling the bylaw officer, by the time he gets there, they're all gone. But it was close, long, and my dogs went nuts. And are they not supposed to have a permit to do fireworks in?
They're supposed to have a permit to buy them. So, and that,
To buy fireworks?
yeah.
There's only certain times you're supposed to be allowed to buy fireworks down in BC.
They even have those just outside of Dawson here.
Yeah.
You can go there.
Oh, so maybe I'm thinking of the kind we use for, I'm thinking of the big fancy.
No, these are
fireworks.
just
Oh, okay.
residential
I
fireworks.
see, yeah, that's the kind of stuff.
Buy
people
them.
are
You can walk in there, buy whatever you want, walk
Yeah.
back out.
Yeah.
So because this is a bylaw too, guys, this will come back to council, first draft, second draft, 3 readings, final readings. You'll have probably a good 4 opportunities to tailor this to what you guys want to see. So,
But I'd like to see noiseless fireworks into
And that's
it.
something.
Is there such a thing?
Yeah.
Okay, sidewalks to the elementary school, I think this one's a given too, but, so the study was approved in 2018, we completed it in 2019, it was just under 10,000, and Urban gave us a nice map of how that should look, all the design specs, the width, the thickness of the concrete, the base we needed underneath, all the surveying, everything, gift wrap. Here's a document we can issue for tender. They also gave us what they felt construction companies would come back and likely tender this for. We think we can get it done for within that $100,000 mark. Just to refresh your memory, it's going to continue the sidewalk down here all the way up to the crosswalk we installed over by the elementary school.
So are we cutting off access from Cookies there, then just
Nope.
going straight over?
No, this would be one of those sort of depressed
Okay, driveway.
sidewalks there, Ken.
Driveway.
Yeah, there is, see this vehicle here?
Yeah.
So this driveway and this driveway are going to be arbitrarily shortened. There's already been a conversation happen with this guy, he's not super impressed about it. And we haven't, but we've obviously got to consult both of those residents, they're gonna object. These folks feel.
He doesn't care.
This
I already
is
talked to
their,
the guy on the end of the trailer.
I thought that was the conversation we had. you know?
But isn't that the village's
It
easement?
is, yeah.
He seems fine.
So then it might have been this guy. One of these, I think, oh, maybe it is this guy. One of these residents has a big travel trailer that comes out to
No, it's the guy on
here.
the end.
Okay, so,
Just have them park this traveling trailer on the sidewalk. no
He said,
problem.
you know what his answer was? You grade my back alley, and I'll gladly not make a fuss over that.
so that, long story short, it's within our authority to do it. So
Okay,
go ahead and get that done.
yeah.
Okay. So application, update the emergency response plan. I think this is something you kind of touched on throughout
This
the
is
year.
PRD. Are we partnering up with PRD with this?
There's,
Because me and Barb went to,
yep, there's the regional one as well. Blair and I were talking, our document is 2015, hasn't been updated or touched since, doesn't have a lot of language in there about, whoops, liquids truck flops over on the corner.
What side of the
What do
highway?
we do? It's not a very detailed document.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm not surprised.
Okay.
but, can you talk to Trish about it first?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
You'll be
Yeah,
here.
because I'm aware that they're doing a regional emergency
I mean, it's
emergency collaborative response plan or something along those lines too. That's more for big forest fires and stuff like that. This document would be to address something in town. So we've got a house that blows up because of the ruptured gas unit. What do we do? You know, we got a tanker truck spills over here on the highway. We're not gonna call PRRD. It's an entirely localized thing.
Well, we're supposed to contact them though.
Well, we should notify them, but you know, we have
to know who we should.
But it's our
yeah, it's our
responsibility.
responsibility. Like I say, we had a house blow up because of it, and it happens. The house
Then you
blew
got
up.
under flaggers out there. and
Yeah.
you gotta-
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
that's
know,
it. They
I had to
procedures
write- I
and
wrote the very
standards. Who do we
first
call?
one.
Who's in charge? You know, do we notify the mayor or do we bring the mayor? How all of that stuff looks. Our current document doesn't have it, so. Blair and
No,
I-
I could probably find our paperwork.
Well, we have, I mean, we have a document. we're required by law to have
I've
an
got an
emergency
emergency
response plan,
plan.
but it.
We
it's
got
not
one, but
super-
it should be updated.
It's there in the capacity that we have it to check off the box.
What is this course paperwork, Chris?
So that, yeah, Blair and I are keenly aware of the fact that we don't know what we don't know. So if we're internally putting together an emergency response plan, we've got to probably take some kind of coursework that says, here's how this document looks, here's some training. We are taking those courses already. Blair and I went to 2 last year, Emergency Operations Center and the Public Communication for Emergency Management. Because Blair and I are aware of if something goes bad in a big way, we're probably going to be the ones answering questions from the press or whoever it is, and you know, so on and so forth. Or other case scenarios, filling you guys in on
It's me.
yeah,
It's already me.
yeah,
That's her.
so,
Yeah.
you know, so,
Only if it has to do with cats.
and nothing makes you look bad like when you have an emergency and everybody's a deer in the headlights and has no idea what to do. So,
But I would talk to Trish, because that lady
Oh, yeah.
that did that course for us, they go, she was awesome.
yeah.
We practiced
Yeah. and we
media
did-
things.
Yeah, Blair and I, the one we did too about communications was exactly that. You know, we got together in groups of 4 and somebody pretended to be the cameraman and the interviewer, and even without a live scenario, Ken knows this just from a couple of days ago, you
I had to go to, when I was on emergency social services, I had to go learn how to do the site stuff, how to deal with people in an emergency response.
Yeah. And people are panicked, their lives are impacted, and they want answers now, and you
Yeah.
better not say the wrong thing, because, yeah.
But you know what, we should go like every 6 months for that, because already I
For you
forgot.
guys, as, you know, the faces of the community too, yeah, sharpening up on the fly public speaking skills, not a bad thing at all. So, yeah. Okay, so we'll assume that one's a go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Second last one,
No choice.
upload chart of accounts, and there's a slight wording change from the document. I put it on the original one as recode. The recoding's all done. This is just to have Maze, who's our accounting software, they consider it a special service charge. They won't just upload the new chart of accounts under our.
Well, we need it, so
Yeah.
it's not like you go,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, perfect. And last but not least, the reason for
Ah!
our esteemed friend Rob here.
Yeah.
The video. So this, to provide a refresher, approved as a 3-year project in 2019. And it's support funding for the video that's titled Sakunka, featuring the Peace region and having many scenes filmed in Poos. Production's already underway. There's a lot of scenes that have already been filmed in town. So some at the museum, the village office, Peace Park, community center's already in there. And then the 2020 and 2021 funding remains outstanding. So this was something in last year's budget where we had numbers in all 3 of those columns. It does come up every year again, so it's not necessarily a given that it's just automatically approved. I know some of you guys had some questions for Rob about some of the content or, you know, the video in general, so we invited him in here tonight to speak to it if that's the case.
I have no,
I mean, just because this is going, to answer your question, no. None of that's in there. That was in there, that line specifically that you were asking about, it was purely for quite literally inclusiveness, if even from a grant point of view, and to not be excluding. But no, absolutely not, if that was your concern.
well, there is, you know, and do we have that copy here circulating anywhere? Or
I had it in the
Yeah, council had able to do it.
Haven't.
But yeah, just specifically as to that one item or topic of discussion, that's certainly not
It was
involved,
just a-
certainly not involved in any way. Yeah.
First couple of pages,
not-
I'm
it's not
saying,
there.
you know, this isn't representative of the village of
It's
Moose.
not at
Gotcha,
all.
okay.
I haven't. Lorraine's got it at home.
Okay. So, yeah, I'd be interested to rereading it if
I can provide a copy, yeah,
Sure.
that's no problem. Yep. But yeah, as to your, I don't know, your short question, the answer is no. I mean, obviously, the village as a whole is the producer, anything the people providing would have a question about, absolutely, I'd acquiesce to, in any way. But no, absolutely,
well,
absolutely.
it's
What's that LGBTQ?
There was, yeah, I mean, as far as I was concerned, there was a line that said LGBTQ inclusiveness in the script, and that's.
There's stuff about drugs, and there's stuff about religion, and you know, there's, and I understand the concept, right? You got taboo items, and it draws interest and all that stuff, and you know, but it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, absolutely, I understand it. I mean, it has to represent the village, both the pieces, you know, that are being filled, but then also the
And
general
the-
mindset. But
yeah.
exactly, yeah. I mean, I can give you a bit of an update as to what we're doing beyond what Chris is had up there. But absolutely, as far as the content, if there's a concern, I can certainly meet with you officially or you know on the side at any time.
There's no against anything in particular. I've gone and explored the concept of having a place on the back 10 acres of my property where the LGBTQ community can come and get legally married. Right? That's not an issue with me. But this is not a personal issue. This is something that the village is paying for, and I think should have to represent the views of the people in this.
Oh, without a doubt. Absolutely. I share your concern, or I wouldn't have initially been here a year ago presenting as well. Just to, I mean, to give an update, and under the guise of, in the breath of representing the village, just some of the things that we've been up to, well, in almost a year, you know, we really didn't do anything the first 6 months because you're waiting for Mother Nature to get warmer. But we're about 50% kind of shot as far as concern is concerned, and we got about 30 people involved, mostly from Poos, or south of Poos actually, along Tom's Lake, which is kind of strange. And then, yeah, beyond what's listed up there, we've also shot in Swan Lake, and then the interior of a few houses in Poos and around Poos, the village as a whole, and as well right out here, the main thoroughfare, 3 or 4 different times as well. And then on that note, I mean, to be completely the opposite of controversial, probably the first thing publicly that'll be out is a children's book of the first half of it, which is simply a children's book adaptation, read-along thing of the thing we're working on. So certainly not anything that's going to have too much taboo in it from that point of view. And that being said, yeah, like I said, there's about 30 people involved, and then about 10 musicians involved. Again, about 5 of them are in Poos that are offering up to write original music for this business, and then about another 20 that just happen to have music that are throwing it at us. So it's pretty collaborative that way, and I think certainly representative of certainly the artistic side of Poos Cooper.
Have you looked into Tumbler Ridge?
Yeah, and then so when the word got out that what Poos was up to, Chetwin immediately wanted to know what was going on, and Leonard as well. And then Tumbler's next on the list, I guess. And Dawson, of course, just demands to be involved, but that's a different discussion.
Demands?
Well, you know, I'm sure we're going to be involved.
Partnered up with the
Yeah.
museum.
I'm sorry?
Dawson partnered up with the museum in Tumbler.
Oh, is that right?
To do something too, and so did Chetwin.
I'll have to take a look, yeah. And then the next municipality to have a chat with, officially and unofficially, is Tumbler Ridge, so.
Yeah, they were talking at the last board meeting.
Some great musicians there. Just
Yes.
incredible.
Yeah.
Chris?
Can I ask a question? Rob, maybe just for everybody's information, once the final product is wrapped up, you know, and I think back to CBC, you know, videos and documentaries and stuff that I've seen over the years, is there an opportunity for us to have the Poos logo and then some recognition and, you know, something along the lines?
Without question.
Is
Oh, that'll be
the
all.
location in
Well,
Goofy with the
without a
driver's
question. I mean, other than the
contribution?
fact that Hank Bridgen is slow on the footage. Yeah, in fact, some of the ones, like for example, one of the opening shots is someone throwing correctly recycling some business with the symbol on the logo, and then
Yeah.
off we go to the
Yeah, okay.
to the story. But absolutely, all that stuff is I just assume it's fait accompli with you guys. It's just a matter of what it looks like and
Okay.
where we go. Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
You know, when do we get to expect to see it?
Well, yeah, I mean, if I had my if I had my brothers, I'd be beating Hank Bridgman for footage, and I'd be showing you roughly 30 minutes. You know, we'd turn off the cameras and show it, but other than, yeah, I'm trying to get Hank to get his act together. He's a little bit older than I am, so he's a little bit. He's got more veteran priorities than I do, we'll say. But then beyond that, yeah, just on the timeline, I realize we're still in January here, and it is kind of dependent on Mother Nature and light in some cases, but I'd like to think we're gonna shoot the next third of it before summer hits, and then summer we're gonna take advantage of a lot of the big days around here, specifically in Poos Canada Day, and then a few around the municipality as well. And then by hopefully August or September, we'll be looking at something, barring we've missed something or we've forgotten something or something like that, and then ideally we will be done this year. And yeah, obviously you guys are looking at it long before anybody public does. So.
Any non-rain day footage from last summer?
Yeah, it was funny. We had one day we were shooting here. We ended up going into the Legion and just shooting all day inside because nothing outside was working that day. So. But.
Okay, so you guys are good with 2020? We'll have to revisit it again next year just for that last bit. But,
And then beyond the children's book, the only other two public things, just because of the proliferation of musicians that are involved, and a lot of them are Poos related, we're thinking about having something down in the park at some point, concert-wise, and then probably out at Rolla as well. Just
cool.
When it does rain.
Excellent.
When it does rain, at least we have that as well.
any way we could do a showing of it at the bandstand?
Without a doubt. Oh yeah, when it's long, though, yeah. Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Okay.
But, you know, I'd like to think the first one, yeah, will be somewhere in this municipality that's got a lot of seats in it. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So last one here, folks, and this wasn't on the list because there's really no dollar value to it, but yeah, it's just that PRRD water fill station concept. And just to remind council, that was sort of the location where the compost pile is right now. So here's the summary. Sandy's got the total from what we've done. I'm hoping to see this number significantly smaller and shifted down, but we'll come back to you guys in the second presentation and let you know where it landed. If it looks good and achievable, once we tally up all the numbers for the rest of the week, then the next presentation is likely just going to be, hey, there's 15 or whatever here, here's the number. You guys are still good with this? We approve it, move into operations.
Is there a reason why we haven't talked about this 800 to 1.2, 1.3 million, whatever it is, to put aside and allocate it just in case we have to use it?
There's no need to allocate it technically, Ken. We've got 5.2 million sitting in general surplus right now. If that amount comes up and we're required to write a check for it, we absolutely cut the dollars.
With us kicking and screaming.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna suck. It'll wipe out 20% of our entire life savings, but we're in a good financial
I'd be
position.
interested to know by your phone call.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Did not bring me enough?
Yeah, I got a follow-up call here scheduled for tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
Yeah. So, that's it for you guys.
Correspondence, non-correspondence, anybody see anything? It's overdated.
No.
Resolutions, none. Bylaws, none. Administration, yours is in there, it's good. And action items?
We just talked about it.
Yeah, we just talked about all those.
Yeah.
Okay, so calendars, or special projects we just talked about.
That's all after stuff too.
Yeah, and council calendars is old. Wages report.
The Christmas supper was fantastic. I'd like to thank Chris for the help that you gave us. We were running around in that snowstorm. We had lots of nice volunteers from the DC Charities come and help us. We would like to thank ARC Resources for all of the donations that they made of all the gift bags.
Employees,
Huh?
employees of ours.
ARC Resources, yes. And we'd also like to thank DC Charities for the work that they did to bring it together. And for the people that donated the turkeys and the cans. And we had 43 people show up.
Good job.
Yeah. And I attended a special meeting, whatever that was.
Was it Bruce people or
The
was it?
majority, I'd say 3/4 of them were Bruce people. Some of the people saw the notice in the seniors hall because they come over for the bingo and assumed that it was for them as well, so there was a couple of Dawson people.
What I'm saying are actual Bruce people or out in area?
No, there was people right from
People
the
that just
town.
moved in from Pooskoopi showed up there.
Yep.
They'd never moved there, they had never been anywhere and they felt very welcome. They thought our town was a very sweet little town.
Yeah. They had great stuff, they liked their supper.
You know, even if there was some from the outlying area, the
It didn't make any
local
difference.
senior community extends beyond boundaries.
Yeah.
And they, for $300, it didn't really matter. We got everything donated first, so if it's an issue for next year, then I'll pay the $300.
The reason why I was asking is because I was concerned about issues for seniors. And if there was 43 people that actually lived in the village of Pooskoopi, you know, that felt lonely or whatever, or needed a Christmas dinner, it was just some information I was asking.
We delivered food to the Tromba House.
Yep.
We had a runner to do that.
And there was also 8 other people that got food at the trolley house as well, so that worked out to be 51 people in the village.
You know what, it was
Thank you for
a
the
wonderful
turkeys.
thing that was done, right?
Yeah, and there was seniors there that said that they would come and help us to do it anytime that we wanted to do
The
it.
seniors.
Yeah.
Would they bake
Yeah.
pie?
Yeah, they did fine. One of them is an awesome cook. Okay, Barb, your report.
Let's see. NDIT call on Friday the 17th. I also did the regional district regular parks committee meeting on the 20th. That's fun.
Okay. Marlene?
I'd like to bring up this report again.
We have a delegation.
Can we?
We're paying them, then you come. Yeah.
There was-
Say your piece, woman.
I'm letting you look. Remember this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you agree that these people, Urban Systems, can come back and present this report?
The one that they already presented?
Never presented.
They never
to us. They handed
presented.
that.
They handed this to us and said if we wanted them to come here and
Yes.
go through this report, that they were totally willing to. And I keep bringing it back, and I
I thought we
personally
did go
would
through.
love to have them present this.
So Sandy, can you delegate that?
They went through the abbreviated version through PowerPoint slides, they didn't go through it page by page per se. But yeah, and I remember them extending that invitation out to us too, that if we wanted a more sort of deeper dive.
Can I get a
into-
seconder?
into-
Second.
It's actually already on the list.
Is it?
It's been on the action list for a while.
Oh.
We skimmed through the action list.
I put it on the last
Sorry,
time
we haven't
you
had
asked,
it,
but
but
I'm
I'm
not
not
sure
sure
where
where
it
it
was at, so.
Oh, okay.
I'll speak to the powers that be tomorrow and get him on it.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey Grover.
Are you done, Marlene?
Unless you want to know about the museum that I passed on this piece of information that was forwarded from Sandy with regards to a bag that came from Pooskoopi. It was handmade.
That was cool.
Yes. And it was in the 1920s, I believe, that it was sent out to a duchess. And now
It's come back?
Back to what
No,
we did.
they want information, this society in the UK.
Oh,
about
is
the
that
bay.
at the Women's Institute?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Women's auxiliary.
yes, and women.
Les is working on it, he's got a
Did
whole
you,
bunch of stuff.
okay,
Yes.
did you get my email
Yes.
about checking with Patsy?
I already
Michael?
talked to her. She told me to go to the museum.
Cause she was a long.
She told me that they had all the info.
Information.
where she
Same
is.
with, Mabel Grant. Kendra,
She's a dog.
I had 2 meetings and they were both canceled. And so there, other than that, just some interesting things. And I think you could speak to them a lot better because the students need to get paperwork filled out to go to the park, their playground. Maybe you should expand on that.
you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, I went to the regional district meeting, so the museum from Tumblr is partnering up with BC and Chetwynd for advertising for their cities. Should the village do this? That is a question. Can you phone the museum and see how much it would cost?
The dinosaur
The
museum?
museum, yeah, the dinosaur museum,
Okay.
connect to our museum somehow.
Okay.
I think that is,
I almost think that's more of a question for the museum board, your worship, rather than
well,
the
Talk
You
to
can,
the
you
museum
can
board then.
search it for
Dr.
it.
Doesn't the regional district sponsor every museum to a certain amount?
Nope.
Don't they belong to an organization that has all this? Because I went to Tumbler Ridge for a meeting in regards to the museum last winter, and there was somebody from the hot springs. They were putting yurts, or what do you call those, tent things?
The herbs, yeah.
Yeah, and people were from Fort Nelson, Tumbler Ridge, Hudson Hole.
Well, we actually had Tumbler Ridge in FCM. Remember they had in the trade show? They had the balls, or the thing on Dinosaur Park.
Yeah, they have a tourism display there. But yeah, if there's gonna be any partnering between the 2 museums, that's absolutely a board question that.
Yeah, well, if you can ask that, that's just talk to them and see what.
I'd almost think that'd be more of the design thing as well, your worship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, ability to use thing, please. Then I met with Damon, we talked about the report. When's that report gonna be on the agenda, Sandy? So people can
Which
read it?
report?
The RCMP report,
I haven't seen it.
correct?
I don't have.
I sent you an RCMP report a couple of days ago. Okay.
I probably should look here. Well, we can put it on the next agenda, your worship.
Okay, well, that was for December, like for last year, 2019. And then I called Candy at the School District 59 to discuss the kids using our facilities. And I was told that it was a field trip. And I said, well, it's not, doesn't need to be a field trip if the property is right next door. And she said, well, okay, I'll have Mike Reedman give you a call. So Mike Reedman gave me a call and he said, yeah, we just need to tell the principal to send a letter home to the parents so that the parents can sign it and their kids are allowed to use it. The kids will be allowed to use it. No, the skateboard park. Skateboard park is a liability issue, but they can use the skating rink, soccer fields, and the baseball diamond.
Okay.
Parents need to watch for that. And Ryan?
There's some on Facebook about PAC, Poo Scoopy PAC, if you've had any issues or something.
Yeah, haven't heard.
In Canada?
Yeah.
In Canada, as per section 91, of the community charter, I'd like to make a motion, please.
It's on the-
Thank you.
Thank you.